Kelly. Dina. Ms. Patterson. Ms. Grant. Madam Chair, Mr. President. Ms. Raymond. Here.
Can I get a motion to retire to executive session for the purpose of litigation when an action against affected or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before the court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable, imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the court's meeting. 5 ILCS 122-11. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteer public body, or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in the park, recreational, or educational setting, or volunteer public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine validity. However, in meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee, a public body that is subject to the local government wage increase transparency act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with the act. 5 ILCS 120C1. Collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employee of their representatives, deliberation concerning salary schedule for one or more classes of employee. Mr. Valtierrez, please call for.
Second. Mr. Alexander. Aye. Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Dina. Ms. Patterson.
Aye.
Ms. Grant.
Aye.
Madam Chair, aye. Ms. Raymond. Aye. Carried.
It is now 5:47. I'm going to ask that everyone please leave the auditorium. We're in close
expectations of excellence and by providing equitable educational opportunities to empower each student. Our graduates are prepared for college, careers, and to serve as contributing members of a dynamic global society.
Can I have a motion to move number 10 in the place of number 9?
So moved. Mr. Alexander? Ms. Kelly? Ms. Medina? Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Gutierrez, aye. Mr. Wagner? Aye. Ms. Medina? Motion carries.
At this time, the Board of Education opens the floor for citizen comments. The board will receive public comment from any individual present this evening and have submitted a request to address the board per the established procedure. We believe that all participants in the meeting deserves the best outcome for all students, for our students, families, and communities. Let me just say, we've moved comments up tonight. This will not continue to be an ongoing thing. This is a business meeting of the Board of Education. Your comments are important. Each person that has turned in a request or a comment to speak will have 3 minutes to do so. I ask that we are respectful when we're making our comments. Please address the Board of Education. Let me say that again. Please address the Board of Education. Thank you. Sammy, you can call the first person.
Yeah, I'm going to call 2 names so you know who's next. Ellen Brewen and Eric Willigard. Can you speak to the mic? We can hear you.
Can you hear me now? No. Okay, good. I'm here tonight to talk. I can't even think of all the things that I should be talking about, but 3 minutes was not adequately cover half of them. Work. I am and remain concerned about the direction of the school year, about the direction of discipline, of students, of teachers, about the audit rights and other things. I sincerely believe that we are in a situation that is most explained by the story that many of us had to us as children, and I read to my children, called The Emperor's New Clothes. So, with that, I do want to see to the discipline issue of the student. And discipline can be seen as control for enforcing obedience, and that is external to the student. And when we have 2 children from the school for disciplinary issues, that is a serious matter. The state of Illinois says it has to be gross misconduct. Personally, as an educator, I believe that the natural consequences cause children to develop intrinsic motivation and autonomy so that the next time they'll do better. Certainly, I would expect that a superintendent who claims to be a teacher and started out as a teacher would have some kind of meeting with the child to figure out exceeded that particular action by the judge and come up with some particular way of recognizing that it's not excluding a child from necessary education. You could have a child have a replacement course, write an apology. You can certainly clean glass with alcohol, and then all those things will go away. Let's have a point of view of the child, and then maybe he explains his point of view, and to some understanding as human to human how we proceed. We are modeling children the wrong things. We are modeling to children that retribution is the law of this man and his proviso. It is extremely disturbing to me as an educator.
Your time is up, Maddie.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Alright, good evening. My name is Eric Rowley, and I'm here to remind this board of something I feel that they lost sight of. Who they work for. Folks, you work for the Proviso community. And though you may consider to take a look at the rest of us, in truthfulness, you are all our peers. At the end of the day, you work with the community seated right before you. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not sit at that table for us to answer you. Rather, you sit there and answer our questions and do our work, the work of the people. This is even more of our questions. Questions like, why are union teachers' contracts being threatened? Why are students facing retaliation for speaking out? Why are classroom conditions so poor? These are questions that seem to go unanswered. In the meantime, as members of the Board of Education wind down on dinner from Gibson Steakhouse, with no time away, this is something like $1,000,000. Today's decision is filled by dedicated students, parents, teachers, and staff, concerned citizens, and many others. And in case the writing on the wall hasn't been spelled out clearly enough for this board to read, allow me to put it into words. This community is tired of sewer pumps being held back and misused. Tired of going to children sometimes only because they're 5 to 6 hours late, and most importantly, tired of poor classroom working conditions. It is intuitive this sort of seems to be a urban community is a joke. It's not. I call on this board to take accountability for their actions and fire Superintendent James L. Henderson. First, students shouldn't have to be distracted by politics of sewer or Campbell High School, and this board is telling in that regard. Every single one of you, orders, every single one of them, all of you, every one of you, those students should have to deal with this process, and you should also take accountability for it. Do better.
Next up, Ms. Boyle. After that, we have Matt Oakland.
It's I know that's what he wants to make a boil. Hi guys, I'm sorry. This comment comes from a conversation I had with Mr. Miller today. I was at the PMSA for training to help train Schoology, to help train my colleagues on Schoology, because I'm trying to find solutions to make this place better. But we talked about institutional knowledge and why teachers are so vital, because we know how things run. And the problem is, we lost a veteran math teacher this week, and we lost institutional knowledge with him. We lost institutional knowledge with a white counselor last year who can run a counseling department at Downers Road now. But we lost not only a counselor, we lost the AP coordinator and test coordinator. Test coordinator is vital because I had AP juniors who could not take the NMSPT on the day of testing because was no room for them to go to. That morning, Dr. Draft was our principal and said, Stephanie Andrews left very big shoes to fill. She was not respected, and those shoes were never filled. We are losing institutional knowledge every day. But what are we doing to support new teachers? On the same personnel report where a veteran math teacher left last, a brand new teacher left, but his name was never on the personnel report to be hired because he didn't make it a month. My colleagues at East were not approved to come to Schoology training when they want to help their colleagues do better. Because it was denied. And guess what? My absence today as of 7 p.m. was still unapproved for school business. I guess I took a sick day to help my coworkers. What are we doing to help teachers support teachers so we don't lose more institutional knowledge? You guys want to run the school without us. What are you doing for the new teachers? That's all I have to say.
Hello, Board. I want to speak quickly because I have a lot to say. I'd like to speak about the unfair suspension of fellow student, Ashley Stoll. Ashley pushed out, was taken out of class on Friday, December 9th, and was put in a room, Dr. Carvalho as a human resources director, without her father's knowledge or presence. Ashley was accused of scribbling upon the faces of board members who disrespected her on the glass sign expo marker. She admitted to it, but despite that, there was shown no evidence that it was her doing. She was told she'd be punished in 3 to 4 days, but after Henderson spoke to those involved in private, she was suspended the same day. Though I do not fully condone Ash's actions, I do not believe that this small offense would warrant such a large punishment. I believe this was an act of retaliation by administration for Ash's past actions against the board and speaking out at board meetings. Ash's 5-day suspension is a direct violation of Illinois' Senate Bill 100, which states that out-of-school suspensions for longer than 3 days can only be used when all other disciplinary actions have been exhausted, not to punish a misbehavior. Same bill also states that students suspended for longer than 4 days must be provided appropriate and available support services, which in this situation have not been provided. I am disappointed that my fellow student has been stripped away of her education unfairly. I pity a petty misbehavior should not be addressed, should be addressed and handled fairly, not instead you have taken away this person's chance to learn. And I am disappointed. That is all.
Thank you.
Mark Stoll. After Mark, we have Danielle English.
I have a ton of questions, but I know you are not here to answer my questions. You know, every single time there's a meeting, things break down because you refuse to answer questions. And this is a comment section, not a question section. Could we take it under advisement that we start having public meetings to take a town hall question and answer ceremony? If you do not answer something at time, it would be great that in the next meeting you didn't answer something. That is why things get very right here. Because these people, myself, all the constituents of District 209, all want answers. Okay, and you should sit there and shut us down. Okay? Superintendent is your employee, but it's the board. You are all elected officials. You are our employees. Okay? If you refuse to answer our questions, we will refuse to vote for you. And you will find yourself no longer employed by the district. Next up. My daughter did something that I punished her for because I did not condone. She did it. The day she returned after the last school board meeting, she was still hurt and upset by a comment that you made, Mrs. Patterson, calling my daughter a racist. Okay? How dare you? How dare you? Call a 17-year-old child, a minor, a racist. Okay? I'm tired of racism being brought into this district. This is 2022. Please remember the inclusivity of Dr. King's drink building all come together. We are here for our students. It doesn't matter. I don't care if they're white, black, or brown. They are our students. Color means nothing. Race and education are what is important. And please realize that. Stop all that on the race card. Do what you need to do to make things right and give our kids a proper education. Don't just push them through to say no child left behind. If a child is not in the class, I don't want him proceeding on. I want him to actually learn the subject. Even if it gets a B, at least he learned part of that subject. Make him earn that B. Okay? Can we do this? We actually focus on the students, not the colors, the students. Okay? And now, further on, we'll talk about a simple offense my daughter was called into a meeting for. Usually, you just have school grade level principal. Okay? For her offense, grade level principal, now. Mrs. Carvalho's is there also, Dr. Carvalho's, whatever her title is, yes. The main school principal, that's acceptable. Tell me why was the director, no, stop looking off that, Mr. Harrison. You tell me.
Sir, your time is up.
I am.
Sir, your time is up. Sir, your time is up.
Why was the director?
Sir, your time is up. Sir, if you would like to have a conversation with me, you can do that, but your time is up right now.
Why was my daughter interviewed by HR relations?
He's gonna have to leave if he cannot follow. We have other people waiting to speak, sir.
Answer one simple question. Why was human resources
Sir.
There's going to be some crowds here. Okay? Get your hand up and out. Get your hand up and I will walk away. Shut your mouth, I will walk.
I'd like to make a motion to give Ms. English 5 minutes. She has repeatedly emailed to request the 5 minutes.
3 minutes.
She has requested in advance several times for 2 months to have 5 minutes. Could we please give her 5 minutes?
3 minutes for Miss English.
Let the record reflect.
All right, good evening. You guys already know who I am. I'm providing alumna, a former teacher, providing a community member, and most importantly, I'm a taxpayer. I want to start off by saying the following. I live in God's glory in all things and asking him to continue to not allow any weapons that the Lord forms against me and my colleagues to prosper. I also want to clarify one thing. I fear no other God, not man, not woman. I want to first start off by saying, Julia Bash is the most caring and dedicated teacher I've ever met. She cares more about the black and brown students than anyone I know. And it oozes out of her pores. And for you all to decide to terminate her, that would be a great loss to Proviso. Those students almost tore us down in September when she got suspended. It would be a tremendous loss. Today, I'm speaking as a neighborhood taxpayer and Proviso parent. We paid $11,500 in property taxes. It was $1,357.96 goes to Proviso lease. The tax rate that we posted last week was paying me $35. You must be the simple in the neighborhood. And I don't care about $35. But our school going to lose millions. Providing neighbors is not simple. Okay? As a former teacher, I'm not an outsider looking in. I actually know what's going on. So if you go around and tell people that we're making things up, we are not. I've been asking for books for 3 months. The current teacher in the position is still asking for books. Students are asking me and telling me that the people asking me to buy books. So that's the issue I had, but I emailed my coordinator, my APs. I didn't say the command. I emailed nicely, politely, didn't need no books. I represent one of these taxpayers afraid to send their child to Proviso. That's sad. I haven't been in the city in 2 years, but I'm representing my child. And I shouldn't have to make that decision. 5 appointments up here, and one superintendent, has allowed to destroy our school. Not the teachers, not the students, that's superintendent. So you guys are allowing it. You guys are going to go in as the best one that came to life I've ever seen up until a year and a half ago. You guys got a fair position. You've been asking for that since the 90s.
Your time is up. Thank you.
That concludes public comment. I would like to comment from the superintendent, why are the teachers not being provided their budgets if we have a surplus? And why aren't the students provided the necessary tools so that they can actually accomplish their coursework?
Thank you, Mrs. Dan. We're moving on.
We're in December and teachers still do not have their budgets approved. And books have still not been provided to students. And the teachers are asking about it. I think the superintendent owes the public an explanation. The superintendent owes us an explanation. Dr. Henderson, would you like to explain? He can't.
Superintendent's report. That concluded the public comments. This is all we have. Right here. We didn't get any public comment. This is it.
I'm sorry, no, that's my mistake. we didn't have the bad amount. Yeah, sorry, that was can't put number one second.
Ms. Soto?
Sorry about that.
No, I see it. Ms. Soto, let me apologize. He had moved your comment.
I do believe you guys were commenting when we speak as well, you put in a comment.
No, we only have this from you.
I definitely did. I'll move forward on my own. My name is Michaela Soto. I'm a teacher here at Proviso Township. I'm gonna say the same thing I have been saying. Cease and desist the bleeding of our resources in this district. As you just heard, Miss English, you all forced her to resignation, basically. And she has another job. Moved on real quick. I just want to say, take a moment to think about what you're doing. There's so many staff members that are already leaving this district. I will have children in this district until 2034. That's far beyond our benefits and probably longer than most of the board members that are sitting here. I am invested in this school, invested in this district, and I'm just hurt that you all are demolishing the district that I love so much. I'm an alumna. I graduated from Proviso Township. I have a lot of love here. The way you're suspending our teachers, the way you're trying to terminate our teachers, keep in mind, Miss Jenny Babash, I love her. She is amazing. And just because you all have a personal vendetta against her, she should not be terminated. You have to keep in mind, we're teachers. And when it comes to our students, we will defend them vigorously. You called her a racist and a bigot because the superintendent has referred to community members as a peanut gallery. That's why they gave you peanuts. There was no racism in that. Dr. Hanson has referred to the concerned community members as a peanut gallery. Mr. Alexander has done the same. Ms. Hanson, you refer to people as the people, the trailer park people.
I disagree, ma'am. Go on.
You refer to people as trailer park people. I think the way that you all are approaching and punishing these students is pure retaliation. The fact that HR was in an interrogation with a student. Why are you making out reports like this? Teachers need to be paid. Teachers that are not paid. But I appreciate it, and I feel all of you. I feel all of you. And the fact I received an email from the superintendent telling me that the speech is this. Our contract is the first day. He explained you violated and you want to continue to allow it. Please stop. It is plain, explicit, black and white language in that contract that he purposely violates. And you want to continue to allow it. But then you want teachers to sign up nothing. And you're not going to sign up another, you don't even know how to take it on time. It's just that simple. We're happy to do work, but you won't even pay us. And then you want to get your next people calling Jimmy. I don't care how much people call you. You don't even refer to your name. And when they understand you, teaching you leadership. My name is Mrs. Michaela, and I'm not sorry. And I'm happy to hear something you know how to refer to me. That's all I have to say.
I can hear you. Hold on,
Lift the mic up.
I thought it was submitted. I thought it was.
It's the president of the union. I think the board should be acknowledge what he has to say.
We have a business meeting to be on.
We do have a business union, and the union is the only reason that we have a business, because without teachers, we have no district.
Sir, in the future, President, I'm not.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody has, because when I do this for you, there's somebody out there gonna say, you did it for him, you need to do it for me, so, okay? All right. Please, people, who wants to speak?
Board of Education, good evening. You know, as my colleague mentioned, of course, we are very troubled by what's happening, you know, in the district. We have students who are, you know, obviously, we have teachers that are struggling. We are doing, you know, a yeoman's job of trying to make sure that the students in our care are educated. But there is issues with resources. There is issues with cost. There is issues with taking care of that, and they continue to be ongoing. I mean, obviously, I'm profoundly concerned about how that impacts my colleagues. We're here every day doing very difficult work, trying to serve the kids in our community. And we need movement. We need to make sure we are addressing the consequences of collective bargaining, that we are following the present system of policies as it's outlined in collective bargaining agreement. That we're making sure that the expectations of us following the rules in the collective bargaining agreement should be the same expectations of the board. Our contract is an agreement between the Proviso Teachers Union, my colleagues and the Board of Education. And so there has to be an ongoing communication. We need to solve problems. I struggle with one of my colleagues. I mean, there should be reasonable expectations. There should be an expectation that we are meeting the needs of our faculty, that we're meeting the needs of the kids. And we're not doing that. We are not meeting them where they are. We have issues in special education, issues in ELL, issues with gaps in resources. We're creating a situation where we're underserving our students. Now, obviously, some of these things need to be addressed. And the PQ is here, right? My colleagues are here ready to do the work. But we need to make sure that it's a collaboration. We need to make sure that we are actually holding true to the arguments or to the goals that we agree to. And we, again, in fact, it's like the bargaining area. So those are things that we have to keep moving forward. In regards to my colleagues, I think it's a tragedy that we're losing jobs. We have teachers meeting at a school year. When I go to the buildings and I see that we don't have necessarily accurate listing of teachers in their classrooms because it's changed so frequently, I mean, that's a long state of affairs. So we need to do better. We need to do better for the teachers, the community, and the kids that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. Board members, community, good evening.
Schools with 3 months worth of snapshots and good news to begin. So we were approached by college couples as well as an program that serves Greater Chicago and area to enter into a grant. They received that grant and we're very happy to announce that we'll be partnering with them over the next 3 years to provide group mentoring, field trips, job shadowing, and internships for
Please don't do it here, please. Please.
So we're looking forward to partnering with Polished Pebbles this year. Very soon, Ms. Fair will be meeting with our school leaders in order to shape the program for our students. So the goal of the presentation this evening is it's 3 years. 3 months, I'm sorry, not 3 years, worth of data since approximately October. So we'll go through these slides pretty quickly and just share what we're doing in response to how our students are doing in the classroom. So the data snapshot will include our scholar enrollment for the month of December. We will review the ISB report card and the designation for our schools, the Q1 grade distribution report, and scholars on track, our STAR reading and math all results, our practice CSAT, SQT tests, and also a new assessment, our world language assessments. So first, just a snapshot of our enrollment in Howard School for December. We're continuing to work with schools regarding our data quality. We meet with registrars and school leaders each Monday to ensure that we're properly accounting. This year. So first of all, I'd like to just share the ISB summative designations. You can see there are 4 designations that are given to schools throughout the state of Illinois. Our 2 schools fall within, and this is a descriptive summative designations in all of Illinois. As you notice, most of the schools in Illinois are falling within the commendable range at 81% of schools in the state of Illinois. About 10% of schools in the state of Illinois live in the exemplary world, and then 83 and 6 respectively for targeted and comprehensive. This year our schools designation are as follows. Proviso East High School is a targeted school, and that is up from the comprehensive status that they were in for the past several years. And both Proviso West and PMSA are commendable schools. You'll notice that there were not designations in the years 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic. So the overall academic,
Hold the questions. We're going to hold the questions until the end. We have a lot of presentations. No. Keep going, Dr. Williams.
the academic, there are 2 sets of indicators for the ISB summative designation: academic indicators and school quality and school success indicators. I'm going to briefly highlight what those indicators are and how our designation is brought about by those indicators. So the first is the English, ELA, and math proficiency. Both of those are weighted at 7.5% each, and that is measured by the PSAT 8-9, the PSAT 10, and the SAT. This is a yearly test that is given in the spring of each year.
So that's down from where it was before, so that
Ms. Medina, can you please hold your questions until the end? Hold your statement, Ms. Medina.
It's a confirmation, I just want to make sure.
Ms. Medina, the time's over for you. It's over. We're trying to hear to talk about education here. We said we're going to talk about it, Ms. Medina.
I'm glad to make sure I'm understanding the data.
Keep going.
So with the science proficiency, the state is taking into consideration 5% of our overall designation with science proficiency. In the past several years, participation rate has been used for that 5%. Graduation rate is the bulk of our summative designation. That's at 50%, and that's the 4-, 5-, and 6-year composite graduation rate. And
That is an combination for this district, is it not?
Keep going, Dr. Williams.
Next,
Don't answer any questions until you have completed your presentation.
The next area is English language progress to proficiency, and that is weighted at 5%, and that looks at the progress of our English learners to gain English proficiency. Chronic absenteeism is 10% of the overall summative designation. That indicates that a student is chronically absent when they've missed 10% or more of the school year, regardless of an excuse. So this is something that we track very regularly each week regarding students with chronic absenteeism. The climate survey, which is also given in this spring, is worth 6.67% of our total summative designation. We currently use the 5 Essentials survey. This climate survey and the student response rate is what we're looking at in order to earn the most points of that 6.67% of the overall summative designation. That window opens in January. It goes several months. We survey students, teachers, and families. 9th grade on track to graduate is 8.33% of the overall designation. This metric is the percentage of first-time 9th grade students who've earned at least 5 course credits without failing more than 0.5 course credits in their 4 core subjects, English, math, science, and social studies. So you'll see in just a few slides how we're tracking that weekly with our students to keep up with their grades, to make sure that they are passing all of their courses.
Do we have freshman
So
academies?
the Q1 grade distributions is the next set of data.
Ms. Williams,
And we're also going to look at scholars on track. So the Q1 grade distribution for all core classes, this is an overall snapshot of where our students, what grades our students earned within the first quarter of school. On the next several slides, we break that down by the core content classes, because as we mentioned, the 9th grade on track is a measurement that looks at grades. And we want to make sure that students are on track to graduate. So from the first quarter, we have the English and Social Studies grade distribution. You'll notice that over 50% of our students are earning A's and B's. In English and Social Studies, they mirror each other quite well. If you look at math and science, our students are scoring a little less than 50% A's and B's in math and science. The next several slides are going to show you the number of grades for each grade designation. So for instance, in English at East, West, and PMSA, we have the grade distribution. You'll notice in English, we're skewing a little to the left. In other words, higher grades for English in all of our schools. In math, it's kind of evens out across the grade distribution. In social studies, leaning more toward higher grades in social studies, except in East, where it's kind of even across the grade distribution. And then finally in science, it's mostly even across the board in terms of grades that students are earning in their science classes.
Excuse me, Ms. Patterson, I'd like to ask a question. Doesn't the grading policy play a huge role in the difference in the data that's being shown?
So our Scholars on Track is an important metric for us. In addition to looking at how our 9th graders are doing, this year we are looking at how each cohort of students is doing. So we're looking at live data each week that is pulled directly from PowerSchool so that we can measure our students' grades. And what you'll see on the next slide are live snapshots of where students are. This is quarter 1 data regarding each freshman, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. We're looking at their current grades to determine whether or not they're on track to graduate. So that will show you the same data for each of our schools on the next several slides. So here's Proviso East data in terms of students on track to graduate, and Proviso West. So this is a live data snapshot that school leaders get every Friday afternoon for the week before that shows them exactly how their scholars are doing at any given point in the school year. The next set of data we want to look at
Before we move on to the next set of data, could I please?
Star reading and math.
Could I please say something?
Last year we implemented Renaissance Star reading and math in order to look at more formative data for our students. This test is given 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. And so this is the fall 2022 data. So one thing that we're working very hard with is getting our participation rate up for our district assessments. It's important for us to know how all of our students are doing, so we need to make sure that most of our students, all of our students, are taking the assessment so that we can know where they are and how to ensure that they're getting better. So as you can see, we have made gains in terms of our participation rate for STAR in particular. In the spring, we had lower participation rate in East and West at about 60%. PMSA was tending toward over 90%. And both East, West, and PMSA made gains in terms of their participation rate for the fall for STAR reading and math.
Ms. Williams, but if we have an
In
issue
terms
with
of the
the
district's
attendance policy,
math
how are we
proficiency,
collecting this data?
so the next couple of slides are going to show you the proficiency levels for our students. According to the STAR reading and math, students need to be at the 65th percentile on STAR reading and math in order to show proficiency. So what you're seeing on this first graph is STAR math proficiency. You can see the black bar is where the proficiency rate is, and there is still a gap between where our students need to be in terms of proficiency on the formative assessment. And this is the same graph showing the reading results. We also wanted to look at
How are they going to
math
be proficient if we don't have enough
proficiency.
teachers?
We wanted to show proficiency growth for our students, so we wanted to think about looking at from the 9th grade to the 10th grade, 10th grade to 11th grade, how students are progressing on this formative assessment. So as you can see, from 9th to 10th grade, fall to spring, in math, for 9th and 10th graders, there was some progress made toward proficiency. From 10th to 11th grade, there was a slight decrease in terms of math proficiency for students. The same for reading in both areas, 10th to 11th grade stayed flat, 9th to 10th grade just decreased by 1 point. And you'll notice that our math proficiency is higher in both areas, all areas from math to reading. The next set of data is the College Board PSAT and the SAT practice tests that were given in October of this year. We recently received this data back, and what this helps us do is to predict how our students are going to perform on the PSAT 8, 9, and 10, and SAT in the spring. So briefly, in October of this year, our students took the PSAT in SQ or the PSAT 8, 9. The 10th and 11th grade exam is co-sponsored by the College Board and the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. By giving the College Board test, we're enabling our students to be eligible for academic competitions and recognition scholarships. So briefly, the SAT suite of assessments has 2 sections, reading and writing and math. And you'll see on the right side of the chart, there are 2 sets of scores that we're going to get, and they'll be presented in these slides. So the SAT College Board levels are shown in the 3rd row there. What we're looking at is proficiency for Illinois, which has a higher benchmark, a higher threshold for proficiency. So you'll notice on the slides that we try to capture both of those pieces of information so that we can make sure our students are on track. So this first slide is showing you the PSAT 8-9% that meets and exceeds the College Board benchmark. As you'll notice, we have many students and a high percentage of students at PMSA who are meeting both benchmarks. But we do still have some work in reading and math in both East and West to meet those benchmarks. So on this slide, we're showing just the average scores. We're anticipating the proficiency target for reading and writing according to the College Board for the PSAT 8-9 is 410, a score of 410. Our students, as you can see by the graph, are scoring at East and West a little below that score and above that score at PMSA. In math on the PSAT 8-9, the College Board Math Proficiency Target is a score of 450. You'll notice PMSA students are right there at 450, and our students at East and West are scoring a little below that 450 mark. The next set of slides has to do with the 10th grade, century meeting and exceeding the College Board benchmarks. You'll notice very similar results with the 10th graders as the 8th graders and at all three schools really, in terms of the number of the percentage of students meeting benchmark. Again, the next few slides show the College Board benchmark and then how our students are scoring on that exam. This is our 11th grade. This is our 11th grade results. We have 37% is the Illinois proficiency target. You'll notice that East and West are falling far below that mark, and at PMSA, they're well exceeding that mark. So on this graph, there are several lines and several bars. So the Illinois bar, as you can see, is higher than the College Board bar. What that's showing us is that we need to pay attention to both. We want to make sure students are ready for college and career according to the College Board, but we also have to meet the Illinois state benchmark. This is the Illinois math proficiency target for the 11th grade.
1%.
Right, and finally, in terms of continuous improvement, so some of the same themes that you'll see throughout our presentation in terms of next step is a focus on professional development. So we have a very close relationship with Anika Thomas, who is our College Board representative, and she is meeting constantly with our schools and providing professional development to teachers regarding the PSAT and SAT. We're also taking a deep dive, as you noticed, in terms of the STAR results, is that we do have a tool for us to target skill development by using STAR as a formative assessment. And we also have other supports such as Newsella to support reading in the classroom. So the next set of data is world language assessments. And this helps us understand how our students are doing in their upper level Spanish or French courses. This is a new assessment to the district. We're currently using the stamp or EST through a vendor called Avant to test our students who are in upper level world language courses. And this is to qualify them to earn the seal of biliteracy. So the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy, and if you'll remember back in May, we honored several students from PMSA who earned the Seal of Biliteracy. It's an award presented at graduation in recognition of attaining high levels of proficiency in English and one or more other languages. And we believe being bilingual or multilingual is an asset, and that we should encourage students to seek the Seal of Biliteracy and to become multilingual learners. The state commendation is one step down from the Seal of Biliteracy, and that is where students are showing a high level of proficiency in English and one other language. However, their score on the World Language Proficiency Test is not quite as high. So, how are the students identified to earn the Seal of Biliteracy? So there are two paths. Of course, with the Seal of Biliteracy, we are looking at an English proficiency score of a 480 on the evidence-based reading and writing portion of the SAT. That's the same for the commendation. And And then proficiency in another language is measured by the stamp 4S. So to earn the seal of biliteracy, students have to get a 6 or higher on the stamp. And for accommodation, they're going to be scoring in the intermediate low level from 4 to 5.75 on the stamp. So the stamp 4S basically measures students in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. This is a standardized assessment, and we're looking also at testing any of our English learners who are scoring at 4.8 or above on the Access, and that's the through WIDA, the English Language Proficiency Test. The scores in each of those categories range from a 1 to a 9. So this is the chart that shows where students can fall on that proficiency test.
No bilingual classes.
So for Proviso Math and Science, and this is the first time that we're administering this test in the school district, so I want to just alert you that this is our baseline data. So student proficiency on the stamp 4S in the fall, we had 213 students at PMSA take the stamp assessment in 11 courses. And as you can see, we had over 50% of our students score on the advanced level in Spanish. About 62.6% of students scoring in the intermediate level in French. So what we're learning from the assessment, and we'll see some next steps, is for us to focus on student learning in those 4 areas to make sure that students can reach the advanced level in their world languages. In Proviso West, we're looking at only Spanish. There are 53 students who took the exam in 5 courses. We're looking at upper level Spanish courses, 3 and 4, or AB or IB Spanish courses.
Are you going to be
We
providing
have
heritage
students
Spanish
who have at least 28% of those students scored in the advanced level and can qualify for the seal of biliteracy. In Proviso East, we had 130 students take the stamp, over 7 courses in Spanish and French. If you'll notice, we have 15% of our Spanish students scoring at the advanced level. We didn't have anyone in the French course, but we're learning from this assessment where we need to focus our teaching and learning. So this is a snapshot of all 3 schools. We have the percentage of students who are earning, have qualifying scores for the seal of biliteracy or commendation. So 32% of the students who took the stamp this fall earned a 6 or higher at PMSA, 8% at East and 19% at West. These students, if they combine with their English proficiency score of a 480 on the SAT, will earn the seal of biliteracy. For the students, and I would also say for the students who earned a commendation, a qualifying score for commendation, they do have a second opportunity to take the stamp in the spring in order to improve their score, to advance so that they too can earn the seal of biliteracy. So next, actions and continuous improvement. Again, we're going to celebrate our scholars. This is quite an achievement to be a multilingual scholar. We're going to analyze the data for trends in terms of reading, writing, speaking, and listening in our world language courses. We're going to determine instructional adjustments, look at student interventions. We're also, again, administering future testing opportunities in the spring, and we're going to assess our EL scholars who have met proficiency on the Access exam. So a quick evening that concludes the data part of the presentation. Now there's just a quick update for evening school and then a presentation on our career and technical education program.
Ms. Henderson, so I ask some questions in regards to the bilingual program because she's moving on to another subject and it's relevant to what we're talking about.
Her presentation.
No, because then she's not going to answer the question.
Ms. Medina, if you could just write your question
Oh, I'm not.
down.
You're not going to give me time again.
No, we're not going to interrupt her presentation.
Yes, because
Go right ahead, Dr.
relevant to what's being
Go right ahead,
happening in
Dr.
the
Williams.
district.
So our next update is for evening school. So the Board of Education approved for us to run our evening school, and we wanted to provide an update. We're currently serving 16 scholars at East High School in the evening school. We're continuing to recruit scholars. I just heard today that we perhaps have 2 more, and that the word is getting out, word of mouth from our scholars who are really embracing the opportunity to attend school in the evening as an alternative for them to catch up, get back on track, and finish out their schooling at the evening school, and some to go back. The word is getting out, and they're very pleased with the program. So this is just a snapshot of what's going on at evening school. Students are transported to evening school, door-to-door transportation. They arrive and they're fed dinner. They have a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule. So on Monday and Wednesday, they're taught English and social studies. Tuesday and Thursday is math and science. We do have a advisory and credit recovery period for them to make sure that they're recouping any credits that they are down. So within that 4-hour period during evening school, students are able to keep up with their current schedule, but also recoup credit that they have that they need to make up. We also are providing social emotional learning lessons and support. As you can imagine, these students are in a separate learning environment that's very unique, and there's a reason that they're in evening school or taking advantage of evening school, so we want to make sure that we're keeping them in school and motivated to stay in school. We do have we have full-time counselors. They're splitting their days so that we can ensure that they're keeping up with their schedules, but also making sure that their SEL, that they have SEL support at school. So next we want to turn this over to Dr. Brandon for a CTE update. This is very important information as we're going into the master scheduling conversation next year, but also just wanted to share the wonderful work that our CTE department and teachers are doing in this area.
Before Ms. Williams leaves, can I now get some questions to her?
I don't know, because you're not giving me an opportunity to say to her if we have questions.
She's asking someone else to come.
Dr. Williams, can you answer Ms. Medina pressing question for the part that you just presented, please? You're welcome.
When are we going to be updating the attendance policy? Because attendance is crucial in order for us to start collecting that data. There was a huge amount of students that were unable to take testing, and we're collecting data and analyzing the district based on not all students being there. Are we going to be updating and implementing an attendance policy?
We have a current attendance policy. We have procedures in the school regarding
implemented.
Dr. Williams, did you
we implement
attendance policy? I'm trying to understand what
There's an issue with attendance.
If you have questions,
That's a question.
what she presented.
That is what it is.
Then she's done.
Number 2, 50% grading policy is actually impacting some of the data that you presented. The 50% policy teachers have told us that is going to give us an issue with what grades we're getting, but mostly with the rigor. So how did you, in the data that you presented, because you used grades I'm sorry, I'm speaking to you, you're on your phone.
Sorry, I have a family emergency.
You can step back to do what you need to do. You can come,
I'm sorry, I'm not finished. It's my turn, I have the floor. Thank you.
Go on, Dr. Brandon.
Thank you. Hold on, I'm not finished.
Go on, Dr. Brandon. You're not going to intimidate the workers.
I'm not.
You know, you're not going to do that. If you don't like what's going on here, you can leave. If you continue to be disruptive, I will ask you to leave. She was on the phone for hearing. If the audience continues to be disruptive, they will have to leave.
Ms. Williams, I'm not
If the audience continue to be disruptive, they will have to leave.
We are not going to do it. We're talking about academic achievement and student learning.
Okay.
What you guys say that you're here for?
Well, let's talk about it.
So, if you cannot sit here and be respectful, I respectfully ask you to please leave.
The only person having an issue is the chair. I would like to, Ms. Williams, can I finish asking you my questions about graduation parades, please?
Dr. Brandon.
Execute.
Good evening, Board President Patterson, Vice President Kelly, Secretary Baldieres, board members, and Dr. Henderson. My name is Dr. Alexander Brandon, and I'm the District Coordinator for Career and Technical Education. I'm presenting an update on our current CTE programs to you this evening. Tonight, our update will cover career pathways, our programs of study, the career clusters, what Proviso offers. We'll go over our CTE funding sources and where we intend to head in the future. Just so you're aware, there are 7 pathways in career and technical education: agriculture, food and natural resources, arts and communications, finance and business services, health sciences and technology, human and public services, information technology, and last but not least, manufacturing, engineering, technology, and trades. Programs of study occur both in secondary and post-secondary education, where students have an opportunity to earn both multiple and stackable credentials, certificates, and work toward degrees while earning their high school diploma. We not only want them college and career ready, but also workforce ready. We want soft skills to be learned to make them proficient in high wage and high demand jobs. Career clusters. In the United States, in 50 states, there are 16 career clusters. In the state of Illinois, there is a 17th in the form of renewable energy and renewable resources. The SIP code, better known as a classification of instructional programs. These are assigned, there are 4 very specific reasons. Number 1, to categorize our instructional offerings consistently statewide, to track student enrollments and completions at the program level, to connect secondary and post-secondary offerings, and also codes are linked to a specific career cluster and pathway at the national level. So if a student was in culinary, their SIP code would be the exact same in college. For example, at Triton. We have 18 total pathways right now between the 3 high schools in our district. Beginning with PMSA, we have our STEM and manufacturing pathway. Between East and West, we have 4 pathways within the finance and business services. Accounting, entrepreneurship, to name 2 of them, marketing as well. Barbering and cosmetology is offered to our junior and senior students. We have partnerships with Ms. Roberts' Beauty Academy, and we also have a partnership with Erskine Reeves Barber Academy. Currently, between the 2 programs, we have 18 students. Hospitality and tourism is offered at both East and West. In this program, we do offer very nice labs for our students and our scholars, along with a bevy of credentials for them to earn in ServSafe and OSHA, to name a few. Human services. We have child development and early childhood education at East. And in early childhood education, our students can earn a credential in NCARA, which allows them to work at a daycare. Additionally, our students currently at West can be in the educational pathway. It is year 4, And the 3 methods courses are Foundations of Education, Foundations of Teaching, and Teaching Methodology. Transportation and distribution and logistics. That is run both at East and West. The pathway for our automotive mechanics is very popular here. The class to open up for automotive, POTW, and I'm missing one, would be Foundations of Technology. So that is the gateway class that puts you on the pathway for automotive and for machining. That's the one I left off. We do have a manufacturing, apparel and textiles at Proviso East as part of the Human Services Career Program. Our manufacturing program at Proviso West does have a state-of-the-art lab, and I would argue it is the best lab in the state of Illinois. One of my friends is a superintendent in the state of Illinois, and some of our friends that we work with at Gilbane actually had pictures of our lab. He sent it to me and he said, "Is this your school system?" I said, "Absolutely." Information technology right now takes place at Proviso West. You're looking at digital literacy and software applications, web page design and media development, and we want to make sure that we continue to build that program up. And I hope that we can get that pathway running at both buildings. So this is a point of celebration for all of Proviso. In spite of a pandemic, coming out of a pandemic and being able to recruit a large number of students into our career and technical education pathways, we obtained 716 certifications last year. 716 certifications were obtained last year. 72% of them were in machining. That compiled 515 certifications. Auto was at 13%, early childhood education at 4%, culinary at 3%, and business at 8%. We have doubled down on offering many more certifications to support our instructors, and we'll be able to roll out some training to begin second semester for them on some of the certifications offered within their pathway. Funding sources. We have 2 funding sources here in the state of Illinois for career tech ed. So it is referred to as the Perkin funds. The Perkin funds are your federal funds. They account for 69% of the funding that we get. And the state funds from the state of Illinois come from our CTEI funds. So we put these 2 together into a 4-year plan. We are year 3. We will execute year 4 next year. And mid-year, we will need to rewrite the next 4 years and any changes in our programming during that time. So for CTE funding, generally funds can be used to supplement teacher salary. We can utilize it to attend a PD session, purchase equipment, we can purchase supplies, non-consumable with an asterisk. If it's for a demonstration, we can get a very small amount. Support our CTSO members, that's our career and tech ed student organizations. Purchase software, finance student certifications, pay for travel for staff and students, pay for curriculum writing, and provide work-based learning internships and apprenticeships. So our continuous improvement in CTE. We are looking at adding a career explorations for all non-academy freshmen at East and West as an orientation course for our electives for freshmen. To add aerospace engineering in at PMSA next year, that would give us our 4th course for PLTW. To realign our SIPs and pathways with the proper course offerings, and course progressions to maximize college and career readiness and ensure equity across campuses. We're looking into pharmacy tech, certified nursing assistant program, computer networking, welding, solar energy, and we certainly want to add PLTW STEM back into the curriculum at Proviso West, and to look at adding foundations of technology to the curriculum at Proviso East.
Very good. Thank you. Dr. Williams?
Excuse me, are there any questions? Yes, any questions?
Dr. Brandon?
The teachers in a lot of the food programs, they're having an issue with getting the foods. There are too many kids in the labs. They don't even have seats for the kids. What are we doing so that we can adequately fund? Because we're saying that we're funding, but the teachers aren't getting the funding to them. They still do not have budgets. Many teachers are buying the equipment with their own money because we're not giving them budgets. When are the budgets for all the CTE programs going to be given to all of the teachers for all of these programs?
Ms. Medina, we'll get back with you. Come on, Dr. Williams.
So that means,
We'll get back with you, Ron.
that means without a budget, how are we
Come on,
running?
Dr. Williams.
Why are we?
We'll get back with you with that information now.
Doc, I have a question too.
Yes, please.
Okay, Dr. Brandon. Dr. Brandon, you said the grants are good for non-consumable materials. What do we need to do to get consumable materials? In other words, what do we need to do to get metal in order for our machine shop to be functioning?
I have approximately $19,600 allocated for that expense.
It's okay, because I visited the machine shop last time we had that discussion. I just want to make sure, board, that, you know, this is something that has outgrown us. Initially, there was only a few students that wanted to take machine. Now we don't have room for them. It's grown so much. It's exploding, exponentially growth. So I just want to make sure that we do a good job and we provide this great investment that we put into the machine shop. Make sure that it functions and we provide everything that's needed for our students, for our scholars.
Our scholars are not being provided investment material currently.
Can you still?
I see that you're saying the percentage of certifications earned. Just like how many say scholars earned 716 certifications last year.
Yes.
So 716 students walked away with certifications in different fields.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that industry certifications
Yes, ma'am.
or coursework certifications?
The majority of them are industry recognized. Some of them could be coursework. In the state of Illinois, all certifications are recognized. I'll continue to work with Superintendent Henderson. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to get back to you.
Oh, that's it. Thank you, sir.
There are two action items for your consideration this evening. The first of which is for repairs and maintenance for some of our physical education and wellness equipment. And that's at $27,318.20%. And that's to ensure that our equipment is in good working order so that we can continue with our service contracts for that equipment. The second action item for your consideration are under the category of learning tools. So as you know, with the global pandemic, there was learning loss in our students. You can recognize from some of the data that we shared with you this evening that our students are not meeting benchmark in many areas. One of the ways the federal government is supporting schools is to offer the ARP ESSER 3 funding source. That money is required to be dedicated to recouping the learning loss that happened during the pandemic. One of the ways we want to address that learning loss, it's a multi-pronged approach. One of the ways that we want to address that is to ensure that each of our students has access to high-quality tutoring, one-on-one, online, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. As you can imagine, any level of student would benefit from having an on-demand online tutor in their classes. With the investment that we're going to make through ESSER 3, we will have a very robust onboarding process where we're looking at recruiting, making sure students know about the service, making sure their teachers know that they have access to on-demand tutoring, and for our administrators to make sure that they're monitoring how students are using the tool. This is for an 18-month investment with Paper Education Company, and they're widely recommended and have had great success in many school districts, very much like Proviso in providing that online tutoring. And those are the two action items for your consideration this evening.
What happened to Khan Academy? Excuse me, Ms. Williams.
Khan Academy is a part of our suite of assessments with the College Board, and it is there and available for students. They link their College Board account to Khan Academy and can access Khan Academy at any time.
It does this duplicate some of the tutoring and the videos and the supports that are given through Khan Academy.
So the difference is asynchronous and synchronous. So Paper Education Company provides live online tutoring with a live person in up to 4 languages. The tutor is one who will use the inquiry-based model with a student. So instead of giving the student an answer, they will look at the assignment. They can upload the assignment to the online tutor, and the tutor will actually teach them through inquiry how to get to the answer for what they're struggling with. So this helps the student become a more critical thinker. It doesn't, they can't just dial in and get an answer to a problem. And it is a live person on the other side of the computer helping them through what they're doing.
Is this what's going to be offered to the large amount of students on Ingenuity taking the remedial courses because they don't have a teacher to teach the course?
Ingenuity is used for another purpose.
No, we've been using it to teach core courses to our students without a live teacher teaching them. So is this to supplement, to start supporting the students, because the students have come to the board begging to have teachers in the classroom because the relationship that teachers have with learning and with their students, and when and explaining or giving answers or helping them to understand things, a computer can't do. So is this going to be offered to every single student, and is it going to be offered for every subject matter that students are now in electronic remedial courses instead of with a live teacher?
We only have 26 students in Ingenuity, is that correct?
26?
Dr. K, what is that number now?
0. That is true.
You don't have to, it's okay.
We use Ingenuity for a variety of reasons, including credit recovery. It's a multi-pronged approach. There's not just one program that the district is invested in that's going to meet the needs of all of our students. So we have to have several avenues, multiple avenues actually, in order to serve our students. Ingenuity is one of those tools. Paper Education Company can be one of those tools. After school credit recovery, after school tutoring, Saturday school, evening school. There are multiple pronged approaches to address the needs of our students.
Yes, Dr. K, come forward, please.
Oh, I had some questions.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Hold on, Dr. Lee.
Sorry, I just had my hand up. Question about this contract, because it is over $176,000. Did this go out to bid?
No, it did not.
It did not go out to bid. Okay, so I find that problematic. My second question is, were any teachers surveyed about, with feedback at this, if they're expected to have this help them, how, are students expected to just say, hey, here's what I'm deficient in? Are the teachers supposed to communicate with this company? How exactly do these people know what our students need to be tutored on?
Yes, so the onboarding process with paper is that teachers are involved and they do have a link to the program so that they can monitor their students. So, and the education part with students is, yes, this is available to you, this is how you log in, this is how you get online to get a tutor. And teachers can say, for instance, if they know a student is struggling in a particular area in their course, they can say, you should go to paper in order to get some practice or some extra work in that area.
Okay, so since the teachers are expected to have a hand in how this is administered to the students, were the teachers surveyed at all to find out how effective they think this program will be?
No, teachers were not consulted in that way.
Okay.
We do have a core group of teachers that are always willing to give us this information, and our content coordinators who work closely with us to make sure that we have the resources that we need.
Okay, then my next question was there any kind of survey done with students or parents to see how much this would actually be used? Because we're looking at a per student cost of $41 per student, which, is great if it works, but how do we know that students and families will buy into this? Because this is tutoring that's going to have to be done outside of school, and kids have all kinds of activities. They might not have access or the time or the space that they need to do this. Do we consult students at all to find out if another online thing, when they've been online for a long time and we're still using online programs to teach because of the lack of teachers, if they wanted to go online in yet another way to get the education they need from the school?
I think we should give students more access and not less. And to your point about students having after-school activities and things to do after school, there are student athletes who can't necessarily access after-school tutoring or after-school credit recovery, for whom those students would benefit greatly. Because after practice, before practice, they can utilize an online tool, whereas they can't necessarily stay for after-school tutoring or after-school credit recovery, etc., because of their commitment to their sport. So in a lot of ways, I think giving students more access, more choices, parents more choices is a good thing for us to do. And the investment that we're making in this, I believe, is just one prong to the approach of supporting students.
Right. I appreciate giving students and families more choices, for sure, especially anything we can do to make up any kind of learning loss. I'm just wondering if this is the best use of the $176,000. Would it be possible to hire tutors to come to be here after school? Would it be possible to hire more interventionists? Like, are there better ways that we could spend this money and actually have something that would benefit students more?
We're also paying teachers after school for after school tutoring and credit recovery. And we also have applied or given an interest survey to the state. They're offering another grant for high-quality tutoring. So we're awaiting that application to be submitted so that we can access those funds as well. As I mentioned, it's a multi-pronged approach. We're not going to rely on one thing to help us get our students ahead. We have to have a multi-pronged approach because one thing is not going to help all students.
I have no more questions.
Are more or less students requiring remediation?
More. Certainly across the country, we've noticed, and the federal government has noticed, that student scores have declined across the board in reading and math. We have lost ground with our students, and therefore they need more support and not less. Even the highest of our high students need support.
Another question is, what are our freshmen on track scores compared to last year? Have they improved?
I'll have to look at the last data report and I'll submit that data for your Dr. Anderson's review.
And we are having the articulation with our junior schools.
Yes. Yes, very, very close collaboration with them.
Pardon?
Very close collaboration with them regarding, especially regarding the school year.
Any other questions?
So what do you think, why do you think that the freshman on track number has gone so significantly down from the past scores?
I can't say that they have. That's something I'll have to look at to provide that information.
What do you attribute all of the SAT scores going down for the district?
As I mentioned, the federal government and school systems across the country have noticed a precipitous dip in student education, primarily because of the learning loss caused by prolonged school closures, prolonged use of tools that students are not in the classroom. So a combination of all of that, and just the stress of the global pandemic on all parties that are involved in education, have an impact on student learning. That's my position, but that is borne out by what the federal government and other agencies are saying about the profound learning loss because of the global pandemic.
Yet there are quite a few districts who have seen gains instead of decline.
I'd love to look at them as a model.
Have you looked into that?
I would love to know which ones they are so that we can look at them as a model after their practices.
Mm-hmm. Some of them have been onboarding, and there's several. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you, and we could sit down and perhaps we could share some different data points. I would appreciate that. Another question. As far as proficiency in the bilingual program, are we going to have Spanish heritage classes available in both Proviso East and Proviso West? Because of the large population of Latinos that are in the schools, the heritage classes would be very beneficial.
So one way we're addressing any gaps in our curriculum is through our curriculum management audit that's being conducted now. We have approved a third-party evaluator to help us understand what gaps we have in our district. Our third-party evaluator was in the district last week, observing classrooms. We've also administered a survey to our teachers to understand the gaps in curriculum and curriculum resources. So with those sources of data, we'll be able to make very informed decisions about how we're going to address the gaps in curriculum and courses, assessments, et cetera, to make sure that we're serving all of our students.
The other question that I had was, in what locations the evening school being given to the students?
It's at East, and students are provided door-to-door transportation.
Dr. K.
Good evening, Board. I just wanted to make it clear and for everybody out there to hear, because it was a lot of work that we put forth. And I just want to make sure that first I distinguish the difference. I am talking about the ingenuity classes that we had in Proviso West. No longer exist. There are 0 students in the ingenuity classes. Thank you. They no longer exist. We hire teachers, we change schedules, they are in classes in front of teachers. We don't have ingenuity classes at Proviso West anymore. And teachers, thank you for helping us get through that time of period that we needed the help. And we are very happy that Proviso West is going along smoothly. We are working well. And of course, I'm talking to those that are not so negative. We are working well with the kids, and they are in their classes. They're very happy that they have an art teacher. They're very happy that they have math teachers, and we are doing well, and it is not a lie. We do not have ingenuity classes. They don't exist any longer, and I'm referring to the ones that we had during the day, not the ones that you're referring to or that's credit recovery. That's not what I'm talking about.
Dr. Carvalho, so
Thank you.
the placement classes? Does that also include the placement classes? There's no more placeholder classes?
Every child in the school has a regular classroom, no placement, scheduled programs, in classes with a teacher in a higher class, higher school. Everybody has a normal program. If you hear anything else, it's a lie.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carroll.
Dr. Carvalho, let me take this opportunity. It takes great work. It's hard work. The ball was dropped at Proviso West. I make no excuses for it. It happened. But you went over there and you did what was asked to try and get Proviso back on track. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the work. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
Good evening.
Starting with the end in mind, first of all, happy holidays to you all. Kind of get myself an outline here so I don't miss any of the picture. So first, of course, for your consideration this evening is going to be the bill list, the treasurer's report, truth and taxation, and then, of course, adoption of the levy. In your budget document, and your board book, I apologize. You see before us the treasurer's report. The only thing of substance that I want to bring to your attention is that the entire state is lagging in property taxes right now because the assessments were late. Actually, I just got my bill last week. I would have normally gotten it at least in October, so that's the only thing that's lagging the most in our local revenue. Next, what I'm attempting to do here is give you a picture of what we receive on property based on a $200,000 house and a $250,000 house. $200,000 being approximately $1177.62, $250,000 being approximately $1526.05. Here before you is the levy. Of course, in your budget document, you have board book, you have a lot more information, but it reflects a 4.71% increase, which of course is under the 5%. And as a result, you do not have to have a truth and taxation hearing. As discussed with you last month, the intent is to bring a resolution before you to abate us approximately $1.9 million to bring us down to 2%. That concludes my information to you, and the action items, of course, are on the agenda.
Do you have any questions, board?
I do. So my question is, because of inflation and the rising costs of everything, food, materials, all of it, why would we not ask for more money to cover these increased costs that the district is facing?
Well, to your point, we had a discussion about that as a cabinet today. Inflation is up, the value of the dollar is down. The school system is healthy financially. So I think we can afford to do it. But if the board elects not to, that's fine by me.
I'm sorry, what was the last part?
I said if the board elects not to do the abatement, that's fine by me. We have until March to do the abatement.
I mean, I would prefer to ask for more so we can cover the cost of things. You know, we were told back in March that we did not have money to give teachers a raise, and it led to the strike. But here we are saying we don't need to increase the amount we're asking for in the tax levy, even though legally we would be just fine asking for it. We have this facilities master plan that was never fully funded for the 5 years we mapped out and we still need money for. And the increased cost of materials alone, I mean, talking about the manufacturing classrooms, the price of steel alone has skyrocketed. How are we going to get enough materials?
That is a very true statement, and I have nothing to say that is inconsistent with what you just stated. So, again, it's a decision by the board, but we built the budget predicated on the 2%.
Are we abandoning the master facility plan if we're not going to fund it?
We have to
I
fund
mean,
it.
by taking this on, isn't this abandoning the master facility plan?
That's absolutely not. You can see a number of actionable items in the board this evening where Mr. L.T. Taylor will be discussing those in just a moment. But no, we're not abandoning the facilities master plan.
But where does the money come from the master facility plan if you're going ahead with this levy?
I have a plan for that. I do have a plan for that. We'll be presenting to you in the next few months.
I have a question. Because this board item calls that we're asking for 4.71, is that correct?
Correct.
But we could ask for up to 7.7.
No.
Or what?
No, the most we can ask for without doing the truth in taxation is 5%.
Right, but if we had a truth in taxation,
You could ask for more.
we could ask for
You could ask for more than that.
Right, right. So I'm just wondering how many millions of dollars we're leaving on the table that could be used to fund student services.
Approximately 1.9.
1.9 million we would be leaving on the table that we're not even going to ask for, that we rightfully could.
Or it is ultimately your decision. If you decide you want to keep it where I had it, that's fine.
Okay, so my next question, thank you, I appreciate that. My next question is actually for Mr. Gleason. How would we change that? Because the way this item is written, I would not vote for it. So do we just amend the item to say, hey, we should ask for more? And then that would be something I would be interested in doing so that we can claim all that tax money that's rightfully, or, you know, that should be the schools, so we can use it to educate our students. How do we go about doing that?
You can't exceed the 5% threshold now, because you have to have the truth in taxation hearing.
So is it too late to do the truth in taxation meeting? So that should have failed. So we will forever leave that 1.9 million on the table that will not come because we did not do a truth in taxation meeting.
No. That's why we bring the abatement resolution, so that if we need to add it back on for the ensuing levy, we have that ability to do so.
Okay, so we're just stuck at under 5% no matter what now.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, approximately how much money is returned to the taxpayer?
It's going to vary based on the value of the home, but in aggregate, it's 1.9 billion. Spread along.
Say 200,000 just goes around.
1,000, and I perform those calculations.
$50 for 200,000.
Right.
Maybe approximately $100.
I believe it's 35. I heard it's over 16, quite honestly.
Again, it depends on the value of the home. Yes,
Right,
that's
it
valid.
does, and we have a wide range of home values in Proviso Township.
Sure.
So again, I'm not asking for the most of the money we could have with that ship of sale because we didn't do a truth and taxation meeting, even though we've done one for the past, you know, however many decades, right, before you got here, right? And now saying, okay, the money that we do get from taxes, we're going to refund it to homeowners. But that doesn't quite include everyone, right? Because some seniors have adjusted taxes. I mean, personally, if I received $50 back, I would rather just go to West and my son could have teachers. You know, my son could have a security job at school, so my son could have a math book that I know his teacher has been asking for since the beginning of the school year. I mean, as a parent of a student in the school district, $50 in my property taxes is nothing. That money is supposed to be for the school, and I think, you know, and this is my soapbox, that I could have sent my kid anywhere. He could have gone anywhere. I could have chosen to pay a lot of different things, but I believe in public education, and I believe it's a society's duty to educate our kids, right? That's how we have a productive society. That's how we have meaning and government and all these great things that we rely on. I want my mechanic to know how to fix my car. I want my nurse to know how to stick an IV in my arm. these things matter, and they're supposed to get education similar to that in our schools. So if we're refunding money back to parents or homeowners even, not necessarily parents even in our district, but homeowners in our district, we are literally taking money away from education. We are. And I don't think there's any way around it. And I'm going to say this again. I really believe, everyone knows this, there is a campaign coming up. I think this is a campaign ploy. I do. To say, hey, we get money back for people who might want to be elected this year.
If I may offer a friendly amendment, we're not giving money back, we're just not requesting the money.
We're not requesting it, right. So money that I would have counted on already being gone is just going to stay there. $50, $16, $35. I mean, am I the only one who thinks like this is crazy? This is crazy, right?
So I can assure you there's been no political conversations around this levy.
Okay, so we're not going to have any quotes from anybody. We're not going to be sending anything out to homeowners of Proviso Township. Hey, look at this great thing that 209 did. We're not taking your money, but also, hey, we don't have teachers. But we're not going to mention that.
I can tell you, I'm not.
I know you're not, and I know I'm not trying to direct this at you, Mr. Lewis, but this just angers me tremendously that for the first time in decades, we did not have a truth in taxation meeting, so we cannot request the amount that we could have under law. We are leaving $1.9 million on the table, and instead we're going to just not take anywhere between $15 and $50 from homeowners who may or may not even have kids in this district. We need to fund education. It has to be a priority. How are we showing that it's, and this again, I know I'm looking at you, I'm not going to look at you, I'm just going to look off into the distance. Because I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but how are we showing that our students and our school district and the quality of education we provide is our priority, is our number one priority? If we're saying, you know what, we're going to spend money to run the schools, how are we doing that? Like this makes no sense to me.
Comment received.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Is that 5% total or 5% plus new construction?
5% is CPI, the Consumer Price Index, and the Illinois Code allows us to go up to 5%.
Are the taxpayers will be getting money back, or is that correct?
No, we're just not requesting that money in their tax bill, correct?
Okay, so I just want to be clear on that.
Yes, ma'am.
But I also want to say that we had summer school this summer. We had 2 quarters of summer school, and there was no tuition charged to our students. We also had a regular school year, and we did not charge tuition. So we are registration, and we are trying to help people in these communities. So please take note of that.
Board, are we going to be abandoning the master's facility plan? I really feel that this.
We have not abandoned the master facilities plan. Are we?
Mr. Taylor, please come forward.
Mr. Taylor?
No,
Yes, please.
we've never had a truth in taxation here. We've never asked for more than 5%.
Never.
We've never
Never,
had
never.
taxation.
So that's what
Because the only time you do that is when you ask for more than 5%. And we've never asked for more than 5%. We've never asked for more than 5%.
Thank you. All of a sudden now it's an issue.
Yeah, but there's no purpose for it, because you only do that when you go over 5%.
Thank you.
And I can't even go to like a party after, because people are yelling at me because we're raising taxes by 4.7%. And it's like, holy cow. So asking for 7.7%.
We haven't charged tuition. And I think we should get a hand clap for that. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent, colleagues, community. Tonight we have a few presentations for you on the district side. We have an action item for your consideration for our construction consultant, ACM overview, oversight and monitoring. Mr. Davis will present tournament overview for the holiday tournament, 61st year. Hugh Bain will give us an update on the construction, MVE, and WBE reports. Action items for your consideration, I believe it's 19 for construction for 2023-2024. Over Proviso East High School, the plan is to do construction on the ground floor north and the middle floor south in this area we're in here. Upgrading lighting, ceilings, and to make sure that we paint the entire building and adding window treatments. Perkins and Will also have an update related to the FMP refresh. We've engaged in conversations with our administration team at East West Math and Science Academy to get this work going, and the Transportation Center update and solar for Perkins and Will. Moving on to the first item, it's an action item for your consideration for facility research. Facility research will be directly engaging in activities starting upon approval, working through June of 2023, and we're hoping July of 2023 as well. There's roughly $33 million of construction that's going to be completed in roughly the summer of 23, roughly 7-8 weeks. It is a lot of work, so we do need all hands on deck and as many eyes as possible to make sure that the district is getting what they paid for. Gilbane is doing a fine job with the district as well, along with Perkins and Will with the observation reports. But we would like to see this action item to get approved tonight. Any questions about facility research?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So the whole purpose of getting Gilbane was for us to have oversight, and so the district wouldn't be running all of the master's facility plan programs. And that's the whole reason that we had somebody that was coming to help us with the bids, to oversee all the work. Why are we getting a consultant if we already have a consultant, we're paying a lot of money for Gilbane precisely to get that service? Why are we getting another consultant?
So Gilbane was hired to perform construction management services.
Right.
And all construction management services consist of compiling the bid docs, making sure that the bid docs are within the standard, also help oversee any RFIs, RFQs, and to make sure that the district is informed of any unforeseen conditions related to turning the construction back over. This is a high level of magnitude of work. In 8 to 9 weeks, we're looking to do $30 million worth of construction. That is to the magnitude of building a middle school in 9 weeks. So, in my opinion, this is pennies on the dollar to make sure that we have extra eyes in these construction areas, evaluating the MEPs, evaluating the painting, checking all the paperwork. 8 to 9 weeks is not that much time. The more eyes we have on deck, the more successful we will be. This is the second. Facilities research has been here for 2 years and they've done an outstanding job. Employees get sick, employees have to take days off of their families, and when that time is off, we do need someone here to make sure that the facilities master plan is on schedule, on time, because come September, we have to open school.
As we've asked earlier, if the board members can hold your questions until the presentation is complete. If you could just jot your questions down so that we can get through this massive master plan presentation.
Thank you. The next action item is to support the facilities master plan construction. In the infant stages, beginning stages of construction. This work will be directly removing any asbestos-containing materials that's behind the walls, any asbestos-containing materials that's in the ceilings, or anywhere else in the building behind the housework and the tunnels. Jacob and Hefner came in at $188,700. EGSL came at $186,650. Weaver Consulting came in at $229,000. Hunter Bear came in at $356,000. TEM was the lowest bidder at $172,700. This work is only for the oversight and monitoring and registering everything with IDPH to make sure that we're in compliance, to make sure everything we're doing is safe. This work is actually mandatory. If this work don't get done, it will negatively impact all of the construction. Any questions about the action item before we bring up Mr. Davis to go over? Mr. Turner?
Good evening, President Patterson, board members, and Dr. Henderson. Before I get started, I just want to say it's very unfortunate that Ms. McGinnis had to take a medical leave, and I am sure, as many others do, wish her a speedy recovery. So for the last 5 weeks, I've been working on the 61st annual Proviso West Holiday Basketball Tournament. Something that's very important to the community and has always been a source of community spirit and pride, generates goodwill and fellowship throughout the community. So the 61st annual Proviso West Holiday Tournament will be held on December 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. There are 4 days of action. There is so much history with this event. It's something we want to continue. We expect to see some of the top teams in the Chicagoland area over the 4 days and 28 games. Saturday, we have our kickoff brunch at Proviso West High School, and all 16 participating schools will be there, along with the officials. And this is some of the information they will receive about parking and entry and locker rooms, pregame, and all the things that go with the basketball tournament. We've also had a meeting with our safety and security team, as well as Hillside Police and Emergency Management. The tournament is broken into 8 sessions. There will be 2 sessions on each of the 4 days. There will be 8 games the first 2 days and 6 games the second 2 days. Tickets are on sale on gofan.co. Here are the logos of the 16 participating schools. 5 of them are rated in the top 25 in the Chicago Sun-Times rankings. Proviso East is one of those teams that's ranked in the top 25. So we expect to see some really exciting action over the 4-day periods, as we always do at the Proviso West Holiday Tournament. The bracket is empty at this time, but on Saturday it will be filled with the pairings, and we'll know what the matchups are, and we'll be ready to go on December 26th. I hope that many of you get an opportunity to come out and enjoy some of the action. Thank you.
You got a question? No. You went too fast. Is that okay? Yeah, so on page 51 of your packet there, you see the design package for acoustic seating in the west for $61,000. That's the engineer's estimate. That's what the engineer estimated the job would cost. Yet again, the bid came in at $240. I mean, you got an asterisk on it, but I don't see the definition of that asterisk. so high?
Yeah, so,
And I'm asking because the facilities master plan is not giving this information.
so we're in the developmental stages of creating the scope of work over at Proviso West for the science labs. Gilbane jumped ahead of the design that they were given by Perkins and Will, and it wasn't revisited at the end of the design. I'll let Michelle speak to that when she goes with RTAs. Is that okay?
Is that the same issue with the design estimate for mechanical installation work at East for 258 and now it's 917,000? The same thing. So the design estimate was 258, 517. Now it's 917,000. It's almost triple. Actually triple plus.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll let Michelle speak to that in her presentation. The RTAs for summer 2023 and 24 is actually next. We can speak to the package that you're talking about.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on page 47. It's showing 5
Could
bids.
you speak into the microphone? We can't hear you.
I have a question on page 47. We have 5 bids here. And I just want to know why there's so much of a difference between the lowest and the highest bid here. We're going from 172,000 all the way up to 356,000.
Yes, ma'am, that's a fair question. We will have an answer for you. Is it okay if we go through the RTAs and then answer the question?
Pardon?
Is it okay if we go through the RTAs? But it's a fair question. We'll have an answer for you tonight during the presentation.
Okay.
And good afternoon, Board of Education. As I go through each of them, if you want to ask me those questions, I don't have the page numbers on here, so I'm not sure what page 47, et cetera, refers to. So I'll get started with the first one. The first one is bid package 2L for demolition over at Proviso East. The recommended contractor is Breakthrough Enterprises for $1,489,000 even. The next big package is O2M for demolition work over at Proviso West. The recommended bidder for this is National Wrecking at $194,500. National Wrecking also is included in an alternate W1, which is for the science lab construction over at Proviso West High School as well. We are recommending that they be awarded the package for demolition for the science lab work in the amount of $53,500 even.
That's good, but sometimes it's okay. So you did talk, and he understood the scope of work.
Yes, so all of our recommended bidders were scoped in scope meetings over the last week or so. Their scope meeting or review date is listed on the bottom of the recommendation. And these scope meetings were held with all of our consultants, the corresponding professionals from the contractor, along with Gilbane personnel as well.
Board, just so you understand, on the contrary of what I just said in the beginning of the question for LT, this is different. So the engineer's estimate was 618,000, and the lowest bidder was 194. But when that happens, sometimes the lowest bidder could be irresponsible, meaning they don't understand the scope of work, or Gilbane did review the scope and they understood the scope of work. So that's a benefit for us. It costs us 1/3.
Yep, thank you for that clarification. In an effort to make sure that bidders understand the scope of work and that their bid is responsive and responsible, we hold scope meetings with all of the recommended bidders before we bring them for board approval. The next one up for recommendation is 06K General Trades Work over at Proviso East. Straub Builders is our recommended bidder for $4,399,458. There was another bidder for this category as well, Bowler Construction. You can see their proposal amount on the screen. Straub Builders was scoped on December 1st, and we are also recommending that 2 alternates be awarded to them as well. Alternate E3, which is for basketball hoop assemblies over at Proviso East High School, and then wall padding over at Proviso East High School as well.
You said basketball hoop assemblies for 88,000. Okay, how many basketball hoops are there assemblies?
So in Gym 120, which is right down the hall here, we plan to add backboards to eight rims and also add a wrenching system to both the main baskets. The reason why we would like to do that because we demoed the gym here at Proviso East and Memorial Hall. We're looking to bring that gym up to standards so competition can be actually played in there. The reason why we would like to put the wall padding in is because there isn't much space from the out of bounds line to the wall. And we would like to make sure that we have all safety components in place when the students are running.
And, you know, it would be nice if we had some pictures so that we could see this. So we can see what's going up and where. And then also, what is the completion date?
The project schedule is scheduled to commence when school ends at the end of the school year, and so that is sometime around June, and then we will work until the school year starts back up. However, we will be made aware of Teacher Institute days, orientations, etc., and so our work will commence or be done shortly before that. So the intent is to give at least 2 weeks for moving items back into the school and completion of that work. One more part to that answer. So we're proposing the work for Proviso East, the remaining of the HVAC work on the middle floor and the ground floor. The work for 2023 at Proviso East will include the HVAC work on the middle floor south and the ground floor north. But in order to gain some efficiencies in bidding, we've bid the entire set of documents, which included the remainder of the work on the first floor at Proviso East to be done in the summer of 2024. The ground floor, thank you, the ground floor. So we have a comprehensive plan to finish out the HVAC work at both Proviso East and West for 2023 and 2024 at this time.
We need to see that. You know, we need something on that so we can follow through on the completion date.
You can write it in the project schedule.
Design estimate is part of our original FMP budget.
No, the original FMP budget.
Well, not original, but the last budget from last year before we started this budget.
Yes.
So it's safe to say that we'll be seeing more credit.
We do have a round of credits coming back to the district. Bill Bain is working on that as we speak. We hope to have that at the next board meeting, the facilities meeting and the board meeting.
Because they look like they're substantially out right here. It's only $1 million, because of the little bit. It's safe to say it's going to get credits and see credits like that out of the actual budget.
So this design estimate was a money mark in the budget. It was just an estimated value of the work. And the 530, the winning bidder is what it came in at. So we will not be receiving the $900,000 credit back.
Right, but let's say your design estimates were right on track and they all came around there, plus or minus 10%, and we'll be over with it, right?
Correct. So this is actually a good thing that it was bidded, design estimate at 1.4, and it came in at $500,000.
For 06L General Trades Work, Straub Builders, $530,250 is their winning low bid, scoped on December 7th. The other 2 bidders are listed below. We are recommending additionally that the alternate for the science lab work over at Proviso West be awarded to Straub Builders as well for $566,800.
Again, pictures would help so we can see the science lab. We can see what's going on. I I've been asking for them forever.
We will provide the pictures to the superintendent's office. We'll get to get them to you.
For bid package 08D, curtain wall work over at Proviso West, 3F Corporation is the recommended builder at $48,000. Alternate bids were received. We are proposing that 3F be awarded. In addition, we are asking that alternate W1 for the curtain wall work over at Proviso West as well be approved for $298,000. Bid package 9L, acoustical ceiling work, Just Right Acoustics is our recommended bidder at $950,000 even. In addition, we are recommending that alternate E1 for window treatment work over at Proviso East be awarded in the amount of $134,100. Acoustical ceiling work over at Proviso West, package 09M. Just Right Acoustics was the recommended bidder, $240,600. We are also asking that they be awarded the science lab alternate work at Proviso West in the amount of $42,000 even.
Again, this is confusing.
Guys, can you hold your questions until the end?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, write your questions.
Just
Bid package 09N for painting work for Proviso East. Continental Painting is the recommended low bidder at $579,500 even. Other bidders are provided on the screen. Continental was scoped on December 6th of 2022. Proviso West painting work. Bid package 090. Continental Painting is the recommended bidder for $35,000 rather even. We are also requesting that they be awarded the science lab alternate for work at Proviso West in the amount of $20,000. Continental Painting was scoped for this work on December 6th. Bid package 12B, lab casework at Proviso West. Straub Builders is the recommended bidder for $42,209. For the science lab construction, we are recommending that they be awarded the lab casework for $318,900. 22H, plumbing work at Proviso East and West. A&H Plumbing is being recommended for $42,100 even. In addition, we are recommending that they be awarded the science lab work at Proviso West per alternate W1 for $414,000 even. A&H Plumbing was scoped on December 2nd of this year. 23T, mechanical piping work for Proviso East. Autumn Construction is the recommended bidder at $5,340,000 even. Other bidders are provided on the screen. Autumn Construction was scoped on December 5th of this year. Mechanical piping work, bid package 23U for the work at Proviso West. Quality Control Solutions is the recommended bidder for $3,130,080. Other bidders are provided on the screen. Quality Control Solutions was scoped on December 5th. A few more packages, 23V, mechanical ductwork and temperature controls for HVAC work at Proviso East. Amber Mechanical is the proposed bidder for $3,944,000 even. Other bidders are shown on the screen. Amber Mechanical was scoped on December 5th of this year. 23W, mechanical ductwork and temperature controls work for the work at Proviso West. MG Mechanical is the recommended bidder for $992,000 even. We also recommend that they be awarded the alternate for science lab construction at $192,000 for the mechanical work needed in the science labs over at Proviso West. MG Mechanical was scoped on December 5th. 23X, the mechanical insulation work for Proviso East. We are recommending that JC Insulation be awarded in the amount of $917,200 even. JC Insulation was scoped on December 5th. Similarly, for mechanical insulation at Proviso West, bid package 23Y, we are recommending that JC Insulation be awarded in the amount of $220,000. In addition, we are recommending that they be awarded the insulation work for the science labs per the alternate, the amount of $6,200. They were scoped on December 5th. 26K, electrical work for Proviso East. Mini Electric is the recommended bidder for $6,495,000 even. Other bidders are provided on the screen. In addition, we are recommending that they be awarded the electrical work as it pertains to the roller shades alternate or mechanical roller shades for Proviso East per alternate E1 in the amount of $15,000. Mini Electric was scoped on December 6th. 26L, electrical work at Proviso West. Mini Electric is the recommended bidder in the amount of $215,500. We are also recommending that they are awarded the Science Lab electrical work per alternate W1 at Proviso West in the amount of $234,100. Mini Electric was scoped on December 6th. Are there any questions?
Yeah, on the last slide, on 57. So see, this is what's confusing. You have a design estimate of $766,000, and then you got Mini Electric at $215,000. I mean, usually an engineer's estimate should be within 10% for a good estimator. So this is very dangerous in my point of view, because if they would have charged us $500,000, we would have took it, right? Because we're below the engineer's estimate, design estimate. So what are you guys doing here? I don't understand.
So collectively, the estimate is about, well, the actual pricing is about $450,000 is their full bid for this work. Our estimate was $766,000, and the estimate was completed off of the design documents. So those documents were about 50% of the conceptual scope of work for the project. So there were some assumptions made based on what was shown at the documents in that time to make sure that we had the full scope covered. As the design evolved, we did update our estimates. The estimates have been provided in the past, the updated estimates as we moved along, and therefore we were able to refine the pricing in our estimates in addition to get good coverage and a better bid number when we hit the street. So these are the first estimates based off of the first set of design documents. There are other estimates that follow based off of the construction documents as well.
Can you go to page 56 too? On this one, you got a design estimate of $7,052. It's the page before that. Page 56.
Which bid package?
It's the 23
watt. 23 watt.
So here you got a design estimate for $7,852. That's you guys said it's going to cost roughly that. How is it it's 220? Am I reading this right?
You are reading it correctly. I understand this will be some cause for concern. The actual pricing is based off of the piping that was laid out in the documents. So as the documents were refined for construction, we were able to understand the amount of linear footage of insulation needed. The assumption made for the first estimate didn't include the linear footage of insulation needed for all of the piping that was shown in subsequent documents.
Well, yeah, this is unacceptable. I mean, come on, 7,852 versus 220. It doesn't make sense to me, because I mean, either somebody's not doing their homework with the estimating, and doing historical estimate, historical estimation. I mean, what are you guys doing? Because this is, I'm sorry for the word, but this is ridiculous. I've never seen something like that.
So as the design was refined, our estimate was updated. And this is an estimate based off of the documents that didn't show this work. As the work was shown on subsequent documents, our estimate includes this work.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, 7,852, I could do a basement for that much, and then I'm not understanding this. It's just very confusing, and also it'll lead us to this causes confusion to the board and myself. Because if you're saying, okay, I see design estimates are low, and then you come up with the bid is so high, and then you got design estimates are very high, and then you come up with an estimate that's very low. I mean, I don't, what is it that you're doing?
I think what needs to be provided.
I don't get it. This is very confusing.
CDS.
Not right. Yeah, I mean,
Madam President.
when you see 6,200, you could almost say, oh, he's the lowest bidder. You know, he's almost about 15% down, or actually a little less than 10%.
So
I don't get it. I mean, what's going on there?
As the design was clarified, we presented additional estimates that show the pricing that is in alignment with the actual estimate. So I've asked LT to provide those documents to you that we've provided so that you guys can see that progression in the pricing as the design was.
Yeah, but if design changes, you should just change the estimate.
We have updated the estimate, but for consistency purposes, we use the design estimate that was created in August and for all of them, so that there wouldn't be confusion in where our numbers came from.
You know, I'm not really hearing all this back and forth, but this is very confusing, and I'm not understanding this, to be honest. I mean, I'm not understanding at all. Even if you took RSMEs and did a square foot estimate, you will never even get that. You know, I don't get it, to be honest. Boy, I don't get it. I'm confused right now. I'm totally confused. I have never seen this before. Have you seen this before?
In a few packages over the couple of years I have, but not to this magnitude where it's $210,000. But in a few packages I have, for an example, the one we showed exactly.
I'm just thinking maybe you did this 3 years ago, and then the price changed, but then you kept the same design estimate, and the bid came in different. You should have did a new design estimate for the new job scope, not put the old design estimate with the new scope, because prices have been changing with inflation, with the supply chain, and it's very confusing to me. I mean, I really don't understand anything here. I'm lost, to be honest. I don't even feel like approving any of this, because especially these with the high numbers, I'm not going to do those. That's just me. It's just me, because that makes no sense. It's just confusing. It's just misleading. It's misleading. Look at it. Science lab, 42,000. Design estimate, 61. Just for acoustics, 240,000.
So
even if it's 2 years, even if it was last year, it did not go up that high. I mean, I don't understand.
Because we shared these numbers on the estimate side up front, we didn't want to be misleading and change the estimate to the final estimate. We gave you the original estimate. So there's estimates along the stage of design. We will provide those to Dr. Henderson for review, or we can present them at a different meeting at a different time.
Why did this confuse you? 42,000 is closer to 61, even though he might be a little bit irresponsible, bidder, he's still closer to the engineer's estimate. I mean, throughout the construction industry, anywhere between 8 to 10% is considered a good estimate. The good design estimate is accurate. This is totally out of line.
Yeah, so
if you want to do it like that, you need to change the strategy, because and I know you got them backwards too, but it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, we did discuss this, we were compiling this information, like, wow. So it was jumping off the page for us as well, but we did want to give you the original estimate, and that's what the design estimate is. And we will provide, and we have updated the estimates every quarter as we promised a few years ago. But there's no excuse for having a low estimate on the beginning end, but as a design develops, the estimate do get bigger and bigger. We will provide that information as soon as documents.
Yeah, if we could have this information in the facilities master, so we don't have to waste all this time at this time. The board, I'm not going to approve any of this. I'm sorry. If you guys want to do it, it's fine.
Mr. Kelly, let's see, I see when you have acoustic ceiling excuse me, at Proviso West, you're not saying what rooms or what hallways, you know, where are you going to put it? Then you have painting work, Proviso East and Proviso West. Where? Are you painting the auditorium? Are you painting the hallways?
For the summer of 2023.
Wait a minute, just one other thing. You have electrical work. Where is this electrical work going to be done? What section of the school? Installation, where? Is it in the, what rooms, what hallways, what section of the school? You have roller shades, how many? And where are they going to be placed? What rooms? Or what offices?
Sure. So to answer the first question, the work at Proviso West is the remainder of the air conditioning and mechanical work on the ground floor. So all of the work listed for Proviso West includes the classrooms and that will get new VUV units, so the new units that will provide air conditioning in the classrooms for the entire ground floor. That's what this is for, so it's the mechanical work associated with it, all of the insulation associated with the piping of the work, the electrical work associated with the installation of those mechanical units, where we need to remove the ceiling in order to do the ductwork to distribute that air on the ground floor at Proviso West. That is what the scope of work is for the acoustical ceiling work. So the removal of the ceilings that are there, the demolition of the ceiling, and then the installation of new ceiling in select areas per the drawings in order to get access to the mechanical systems in the ceiling and install the VUV units or mechanical units in each of the classrooms on the ground floor. So that's the work at West.
Okay, we need, like I said, we need to know room numbers, we need to know exactly the location where this stuff is being planned. We also need, like I said, the completion time date, and we need to know if anything will be placed in contingency.
Sure, we can provide the updated schedule and the scope of work. We have that. It's been shared with the facilities department, so if you guys would like me to send it to the superintendent's office, the superintendent can share it.
I had a question. Okay, so when I was looking through the packet, I thought alternate W1 was like another bidder, but we're saying that's totally different work. How are we bidding a job and then recommending someone get the other job? And let's look at 23W. So we have an estimate, and is that 467 plus 1 million? Or is that, okay, so that's 460, that's design estimate is 467,000 plus 1 million. I don't know what that means. And then we have the work for mechanical duct work, temp control, Proviso West at 992,000, again, alternate work 1, science lab construction. Why is that in the same bid? Why is that being recommended and not bid?
So it was bid. So for alternate W1 is the science lab construction work over at Proviso West. We bid that as an alternate to understand where the pricing would come in collectively for that. We are recommending that we go ahead and award that because it came in favorable within budget and under budget for our estimates. We are recommending that the low bidder for the main trades be awarded that for the alternate for the science lab. So as we went through the packages, in this case, MG Mechanical is the recommended bidder for all of the work, mechanical work over at Proviso West, the units in the classrooms, the piping in the corridors, the ductwork, etc. We are also recommending that that contractor be awarded the mechanical work specifically in the science room per that alternate. It was bid against other companies, and we have their numbers. MG Mechanical's number was the favorable number and responsible number as it relates to this package.
Have we done it this way before?
This is how these have been presented for the last 3 years.
So we've had bids and then had alternate recommendations?
The alternate recommendations is so that we understand where the pricing comes from. So if the alternate isn't favorable or within our budget, then we have the flexibility to be able to not award a certain part of the package and not be forced to accept a full scope of work. So this allows us to understand where parts of a package may come in at, and if it's something that's favorable, we recommend it be accepted. And if it's something that's not favorable, then we don't recommend it. So there were some alternates that were well above the proposed budgets and didn't make sense for this particular part of the master plan. They have not been brought forth at this time. They were open, they're available for public information, but we are not recommending you move forward with them.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, Ms. Kelly, you had a question about the ACM bid. TEM came in at $172,700. And I believe you asked the reason why 356 and 229.
I just want so much difference between the lowest and the highest bid.
My experience with these companies, many of them have low or high overhead depending on how large the company is, what their sample prices is going to be when they do a PLC sample or PLM sample, and also manpower if they have more foremen on the job or if they have less entry-level employees, which are
Or was something else added?
apprentices.
Or was something else added?
No, everyone was given the same scope of work. We had meetings with Gilbane and each one of the contractors explaining exactly what we wanted, and these are the prices that they proposed. Again, a lot of them have higher overhead, and TEM is actually a company that Proviso have done business with for the last 25 years.
Ms. Kelly, my experience with this, sometimes some of these contractors have a lot of experience and they're able to do the same kind of work more efficiently and effective versus somebody that has not been in business for so long that does not understand the full scope, so they charge a little more because they're afraid they might lose on the job. But usually that's what happens. So if you see 172, 188, 186, you can see that the 10 environmental is pretty close to the other two guys that probably have experience. And 229 and 356, those guys are probably newer, have not done this type of work often, and they come high because they don't really understand scope.
Correct, and both of those companies on the bottom have not worked in Proviso Township High School on this magnitude.
Madam President, may I ask a question? What will be the impact if we take this in there and give you guys an opportunity to do a do-over?
Do-over meaning rebid or represent?
Clean it up.
Our schedule is extremely tight. So by not approving the proposals or even a portion of the proposals, we run the risk of not getting equipment or getting the bids locked in time for them to still be accepted.
And I'll speak with Madam President, and both of them can come back next week. We'll give you a week to clean it up and come back to us.
Thank you.
Can you do me a favor, Ken? Can you put small notes as far as ARIS means is an estimating software company that writes books, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, right, correct? You use whatever zones they are with cities, and they use whatever index numbers are, and you multiply it. You give line item estimates or square foot estimates. Can you put some of that information under maybe the square foot estimate, which is the easiest to do because you only got to look for the city, the number, and then just do some multiplier? Because I mean, you understand me, it looks kind of, it just doesn't look right. It's confusing, it looks misleading to me.
It would be helpful if we had like a map. We used to have maps, we used to have drawings, so we knew exactly what we were accomplishing. So we could go one-on-one, we used to have lists of what each thing was, checked off the things that we've accomplished, the things that we haven't, which areas have been completed, which ones haven't, and then we would know exactly what was going on. Since we don't work every day in the area, and you guys are experts, we're not, I understand that. But for a layperson, it's very difficult to look at the numbers like this and to understand the scope of the work that you're doing without some more visuals.
Totally understood. We will make sure that we compile all of the presentations from the last 6 or 7 facilities meeting, outlining the science labs, exactly what they look like, all of the estimates all the way through. So we make sure we go back to the drawing board. We have a presentation that will show the exact roadmap of how these numbers came together, and hopefully at that time we can come to some type of agreement.
Thank you, sir. Madam President, I'm going to ask to take this one.
I would like to still go through the Gilbane presentation related to what's left on the table.
It's tabled and you come back next week, okay?
Okay, if we could have this at the FMP, would be great. We're going to have a discussion here.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Will, there's a few solar items on purpose and will.
Okay.
Evening, Board. Here to give you an update on a number of items relating to some work going on around the district. So I'll go through them as quickly as possible. As always, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions here. So quick update. Bill Bain talked about the HVAC expansion, some of the bids. We have showing you the schedule here. This will probably be the last time we do show you the schedule, as the project's now out to bid. Managing the schedule is now under Bill Bain's responsibility. But we sit here at the beginning of December, we've received bids. Overall, when looking at the bottom of the line budget numbers, they look favorable. So as Bill Bain provides their presentation and moves through acceptance of those bids, we'll enter into a pre-construction period where we'll start reviewing shop drawings and getting these contractors on board, and then construction will commence in June, July, and August of this summer. As we've kind of mentioned in a number of meetings here, we continue to monitor material acquisition lead times. Now that we have the collection of contractors on board that will be providing this material, we're getting very accurate pictures of what these lead times look like. So far, nothing that has been mentioned during the scope reviews has exceeded any of the assumptions that we made. And it appears that the approach that was made by the district, the design and construction team, to issue these documents for bid earlier in the bid timeframe will hopefully resolve these concerns. So at this point, like I said, Bill Bain will continue to work with the subcontractors that will be awarded the work to continue to monitor any material acquisition lead times. Moving on to review the update of the 2018 FMP. We are currently working on building team meetings. We actually have a number of them scheduled for the upcoming weeks. With a list of folks from around the district, a list that the district has provided to us. And so we will be reviewing previous FMP projects, reviewing new priorities, reflecting on what has been completed to date. In addition to this, we are working with the district to get a group of students to come to the Purpose and Will office, where we can not only give them a little tour of the architecture profession and an architecture firm's office, but we'll also be engaging them on potential visions for the district and what the facilities can look like going into the future. Moving on to the West Transportation Center update. We have been working with our civil engineer as well as the district to identify project requirements for the busing facility at Proviso West. This is the site plan is currently conceptualized that we are moving forward with. We are currently in talks with the Village of Hillside, as the construction of this facility will require zoning relief on a number of different items. And so the district will be moving through the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Village Board to receive the appropriate entitlements. As we continue to move forward with this preliminary site plan that we've gotten feedback from district staff on, we will also be asking for preliminary review from MWRD for any stormwater design items. So that way when we go out to bid concurrently with issuing for permit, we have a good idea as to any comments from MWRD that may arise during permit review. This is a little plan detail of what the facility is currently looking like, reflecting the programmatic requirements that has been provided to the design team from the district. It'll accommodate between 65 and 70 buses and their drivers, as well as a maintenance staff in the service bays. It will have a washing bay for cleaning of the vehicles. It'll also be able to accommodate folks working in the dispatch office, an assistant director's office, and then a director's office. There will be toilet facilities here, as well as some changing rooms to allow the busing operation to begin at Proviso West. As a reminder, based on feedback from Gilbane and material acquisition times, our current goal for the schedule is to deliver the site portion, going back to the slide here, deliver the site portion of the transportation facility by beginning of school in 2023, and then the building will follow for the 2024-2025 school year. And that's really the schedule that, as Gilbane reviewed how quickly materials could be acquired, that seemed feasible. As a backup plan, a contingency plan to ensure that there will be pavement available for the district to park their buses at Proviso West. We're also working with the geotechnical engineer to take tours of the existing parking lot, so that way if there are any potential delays in construction or entitlements or material acquisition, that there is a contingency plan in place to allow the physical assets needed for the busing operation to begin in 2023. This gives kind of a little bit of schedule. We're aiming to issue an early package for the site sometime in February. This will handle the paving and the stormwater and the site utility work. Again, the critical items needed to get in place, so that way there is a place to park the buses. And then later on in March or April, the facility itself will be issued for bid. During the facilities committee meeting, Bricks and Will was asked to study the possibility of turning this into a dual-purpose facility that could be used both as the transportation center and as an educational use, potentially as part of the CTE program. Based upon our review of the increased code requirements, we would generally favor against this approach. We've listed a number of bullet points here that kind of reviews the complications when trying to create a dual-purpose facility like this on this site. There are obviously, budgetary increases. There are operational concerns. The amount of code requirements, if this were to become a facility occupied by students, would increase exponentially. The Illinois school code would require, if it is an educational facility, that it be constructed as a storm shelter. They would require that it be treated with a fire sprinkler system. And there are a number of other complications that arise. For instance, getting students to that portion of the site from the main building facility, and how to make sure that they have safe and accessible routes to the facility. If the district would like to consider to pursue this route of a dual-purpose facility, it also would perhaps most problematically jeopardize the schedule of delivering the site by August 2023. Yes, for the site portion of the work. The building portion would be August 2023. So again, if the district would like us to continue to pursue this option, I just want to make sure that we're being cautious here. This will have a scheduled impact on the transportation center process. So potentially as an alternative, understanding the district's desire to increase the amount of CTE facilities, there could be the potential to add additional CTE facilities as part of the ongoing FMP update. Moving on to another item that the district has asked Bricks and Will to study, which was the possibility of having on-site solar power generation, specifically at Proviso East. I think you guys have seen this plant before, where we've worked with our engineers to try to identify the amount of roof that could be used for solar panel installation, and use that in conjunction with Gilbane to come up with a project estimate. And so our engineer has given some initial study to it, and come up with these statistics, and these are preliminary and very conservative. And so if the project does proceed, these numbers could be refined and likely improved. So right now engineer's estimate for the installation of the solar panels itself, essentially the material for the solar panels. This is not a project cost. This is just for the solar panels themselves. The estimate is about $1.2 million. With the Federal Inflation Reduction Act, you can receive up to approximately 30 to 40% of credit back from the federal government for that work, especially if the solar panels themselves are domestically produced. It allows for additional 10% of incentive back to the district. This will result in an annual energy savings of approximately $68,000. And that's based on 10 cents a kilowatt hour, which per the district is with the last energy contract, what you were buying power at. And given those, again, relatively conservative assumptions, the approximate return on investment time would be about 10 years. Again, just to note, these estimates are all conceptual and require further investigation. We were also asked to look at a program that exists in Illinois called Solar for All. We conducted some phone conversations with the Illinois Solar for All program. And just to quickly familiarize yourself with how this works, is that the district would act as an anchor tenant for the Solar for All program and choose from a list of vendors that would install the solar array. So the vendor itself would bring the funding to install the solar array on the district's property. In return, the district would receive credit for the power generated from the array, less any maintenance cost. And they do cap the maintenance cost at 50% of total solar power generated. So it's basically assured savings. In return, the vendor gets to sell renewable energy credits on the market. This is a federal program for renewable energy credits, and the vendor gets to keep the proceeds of those credits. The added part to this program is that local residents can also subscribe to the program and receive energy bill credits in exchange for increasing the number of renewable energy credits the vendor can sell on the open market. And so this is kind of a third-party system to get solar panels installed that provides a piece if the district would like to pursue that. So at this point, the next step would be really for the district to determine how they would like to fund solar panels if it's decided to go forward. Alternatively, if the district is kind of still unsure and wants to study this more, this is something that could be considered as part of the FMP and then scheduled when the district deems it appropriate to allocate budget dollars to the solar program. And so, really at this point, that's kind of the conclusion of our early preliminary estimates, and the design process at this point will stop until further directions. And the last item that we were asked to present here was a summary of kind of what the architect's construction phase activities are during construction. There were just some information requested on what is Perks and Will's role as the architect during construction to ensure that the district is getting the work that was bid upon, the drawings that were prepared, and the scope that was desired. And so there's a number of items I'm going to go through here real quickly. Each one of these can turn into a much longer presentation, so I'm just going to highlight a couple of these key items. The first thing that the architect conducts is submittal review. Individual subcontractors submit all their materials, all their products to the architect. We perform a thorough review, either if it's an architectural product, Perks and will review. Otherwise, we will funnel that work to our engineers and consultants that have the expertise to review those items. Once construction begins, Perks and Will visits the site periodically. Typically during the summer, we average 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 visits a week. And we will amass our observations into a field observation report that summarizes who visited the site, when we visited the site, who we walked around with, and things we observed on site. So if we review a non-compliant condition or something that doesn't appear correct according to the documents, that will be summarized here. It also allows us to assess the progress of the construction work when it comes to evaluating certificates for payment. An additional activity that we engage in are called inspections. This is required by the Illinois School Code for the design professional to conduct inspections at intervals identified by the school code. So for example, before before walls are closed up, there will be an electrical inspection, a plumbing inspection. There will be above ceiling inspections before ceiling tiles are laid in. If there's structural work, we will have our structural engineer do an inspection. And when we file on the district's behalf for the certificate for occupancy, the called inspection records will be provided along with the stamped certificates for occupancy. And then as with your completion, once the contractor notifies the architect that they believe the work is substantially complete, the contractors will prepare their own punch list to do their own internal kind of control to make sure the work has been completed. And once that is completed, the design team will visit the site and perform a thorough walkthrough of the entire area of work and develop a punch list of items that need to be completed or deficiencies needing correction. And that will be provided to the district and reviewed. And then lastly, the typical construction project carries a 1-year contractor correction period, or often referred to as the 1-year warranty. Near the end of this warranty period, we will schedule a walk with the district, the contractor, engineers, and architect, and we'll go through the punch list and all the facilities to make sure that the project is functioning as was originally intended. Much like a punch list, a list of deficiencies or corrections are made and provided to the contractor for correction. And there's oftentimes this perception that if it's not caught in the warranty period, the district doesn't get the opportunity to have it corrected. There's something called latent defects. So it's not like it's a game the contractors can play where if they don't install something in a wall and no one catches it and then there's a failure down the road that they got away with it. They still have to complete the work in the documents. This is more related to if a light fixture breaks within that 1 period and it's not under another manufacturer warranty, the contractor has to replace it. So there are a number of assurances that the district has to feel that the work was performed of a high quality and to a level of completeness. And so that concludes my portion of the report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Madam President.
Yeah, I have a question.
I just want to know, are we bidding the solar? Will that, when it comes to, will that be a bid?
Depending on how the district chooses to pursue it, or if they choose to pursue it, there's a number of different funding strategies, and that's something that during other processes can be decided.
So, Ronnie, so community solar, we don't want community solar because that's when the contractor comes out and installs solar on your roof. He pretty much rents your roof, will give you 20% off your bill, and that's it. But, in Michigan, there's some parts of Michigan where you can't build a garage bigger than that. So what a lot of people do that, they build the garage first, and then they build a house. And that's what we're looking for. I think that you're kind of high on your prices, I think maybe because that's not your scope, that's not what you do every day. So I'm thinking that we should still pursue this and maybe LT look for somebody that dedicates himself to build solar only. Because, being in the industry, talking to some colleagues, and I mentioned the price of $4 million, 3.5, told me that was extremely high, almost double for solar, where we keep all the incentives because the incentives are very high. So I think we should keep researching and keep looking. I think we have to really look at somebody that does solar all the time and not as a third party, even in the design aspect as well, with all due respect to purpose and well. So if we did go that route, I was going to propose to the board that, it's all about our scholars, about our students, and I think we should, build a room or several rooms where these combiners or inverters, which is part of the equipment for solar, could be seen by students, just thinking about the future for CTE, as I believe Dr. Brandon mentioned solar. That's one of the things that schools that do teach solar have in their schools or in their facilities. Also, as well as the buses, I don't know if we talked about diesel or EV buses, I don't know, I'm just the type of person that believes that you could do anything if you do the right research. yeah, there's zoning laws and there's, codes, local codes, NEC codes, SC codes, when you build something. But I think if we already have an auto shop, why not invest in a student facility where there will be repairing state-of-the-art EV buses, which will probably be the next step up from automotive. And that's why I talked and I told the FMP, the committee, that we should bring that up to the board if we're interested in making the students part of it as well, especially since we have an auto shop. I think honestly we have further research to do, just because every company out there likes to run lean. Many companies out there know it's to stay in business run lean, or they do value engineering. And I haven't heard any value engineering here to try to keep the design costs down. And we're looking for a partner that could partner with us, that could help us achieve what we want for our students. And if you just say it's not possible, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's possible. And at a better rate than that. I think it is.
I just want to be clear that I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm saying it's not recommended. I would draw a parallel to, for example, trying to teach mechanical engineering by inviting students into your boiler house. From a code standpoint, these are codes adopted by the Illinois School Board of Education. It is very difficult to mingle operations facilities with educational facilities. And there are a number of life safety concerns with bringing students into an operational environment rather than an educational environment. So that was our recommendation.
What if you build a different foundation right next to the building with totally different structures?
And that's what we assumed, is that you would have to build separate facilities next to each other.
Right.
And again, it is possible. It's a different project, and given the schedule constraints of the district request that we work under, which was delivering a facility, a site facility by August 2023, given the complication of designing an educational facility versus just an operational facility, we had concerns about the ability to meet that requirement that the district has communicated.
We would need grants. That would be. We need some grants. We have to get grants.
Right, yeah, so building different, separate facilities next to each other will be different building, correct? Or it wouldn't, because it's within the same area.
Honestly, it's something that would just require further study. It's a fairly unique facility that we toured and researched a number of other Chicago area transportation centers. This would be the only one that would combine an educational space with an operational space. So there would just be more research needed and further program development.
Yeah, because I just think if you rush, things are not going to get done right. Seriously. We want this for our students. We got to take our time, get the best price, and the best value engineer for our students to be able to. This is for them, and we're not even including them. So this is what I want to do as part of the facilities, to include our children in what we're building here. And solar, of course, teachers will be there teaching as well. You can't have students, you don't have teachers. So that's what we want. That's what I want. That's what the board wants. But, it's about the students. If we're going to build something, we have to include them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Dr. Abdallah, quickly.
Good evening, board. I want to just give a quick update on our vacancies. Proviso East, we have one EL vacancy, one PE vacancy. Proviso West, we have one PE vacancy and one science vacancy. And those are vacancies in the district. As I said in closed session, I can get you that exact number. I don't want to get you a number that's incorrect. I believe it's around 171, but we can get that information to you. So as part of our ongoing effort to hire and recruit, here is a list of job fairs that we've already attended the Illinois State Job Fair on 11/2, and we have a list of job fairs. Some of them are virtual, Some of them are with our universities within Illinois and in the area. 2 of them are HBCUs, and then we also have a planned fair for Texas and other regions. So this is, along with the Golden Apple that we provided last month, along with just standard recruiting, along with trying to increase student teachers. This is part of our plan to recruit, market, and hire. And for the personnel, or for the action item, we request that you approve the personnel report. And that is my report. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, Mr. Swanson, our last presentation for this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll start off by thanking you for last board meeting approving the laptop purchase for students and staff. That really sets us on a great path forward for the 23-24 school year. Get that all squared away and prepared. Where we're at right now with the React model is that the network infrastructure assessment is completed, and we have final documentation review this Friday. The recommendations to follow the finalization of the assessment with a strong focus on the consolidation element of the future network and infrastructure design. Currently, we're set up at 3 locations, very traditionally, based 5 to 8 years ago, and we're looking at more consolidation and cost savings. Being backup, our backup infrastructure across the district has been completely upgraded. They were actually wrapping it up tonight as we speak. So our data is secure, being backed up, and applying all current compliance standards. One action item for you tonight is going to be the MindSight Managed Service Agreement. MindSight is our managed service provider that we use across the district for our technology needs. What they will be providing is 24/7 monitoring, ensuring issue remediation, support, and updates on all critical district infrastructure. What that'll ensure is that there's no educational service disruption, as well as we are again meeting compliance standards, staying up to date, and catching issues before they become issues, and not having any educational service disruption.
Is this outsourcing technology?
This is using our managed service provider to keep our compliance standards.
I'm sorry.
It's leaning on our managed service provider to meet compliance standards and ensure that all technology is meeting security and remediation and support standards.
But is it outsourcing?
No, it is not. It's the same thing you used for years, but with a different company. I think what's called Sentinel. Thank you, sir.
Question?
Yes.
I have a few questions about this. Did we go out for bid for this contract?
No, there were 3 quotes. I had 3 companies that quoted this.
Okay, so I noticed that this MindSight company is actually the same one we used back in June, who came in and actually did an audit of the system to tell us what we needed.
Correct.
So we're giving this company a no-bid contract, the same company that came in 6 months ago and told us what we're deficient on. We're now going to pay them to fix those deficiencies that they found.
No, that's incorrect. They are completing a network infrastructure assessment that's presented to us for our review. Then we'll be, upon your approval, using MindSight Managed Services to basically monitor and keep our systems compliant. So in no way do those 2 things have any correlation. One is a plan that, an assessment that they presented for our review, and the secondary one is a managed service proposal. It's separate as far as what's going to be presented in the network infrastructure assessment.
So we're being recommended to now enter into a contract with them to pay them for the deficiencies they found, to fix the deficiencies they found. Because we paid them $40,000 in June.
This was not recommended by them. We reviewed the documentation and decided this was the next step.
Okay, and then also I want to just point something out. It says $80,400 for 1 year, but if I look at the contract, it's actually a 3-year contract.
Correct, yeah, it's a 3-year contract, and the reason we did that is to lock in the rate for the inflation, so we have guaranteed the rate for 3 years. After 1 year, we have a no cancellation clause, so after 1 year, we can bring this back to the board, decide how the services are going, and either continue the service at no increase for the following year, or we can decide to proceed with another vendor.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering where that cancellation clause is. I just would like to see that.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like I can get that to you, it's on the contract.
Any further questions?
I guess I have a follow-up question. So this is a question for Mr. Gleason. So does this type of service require going out to bid?
I haven't reviewed the contract. There's potential exceptions for this type of work, depending on whether it's one that is for people with a high degree of skill, or if there's also an exception for contracts for the use, purchase, delivery, building, installation of data processing equipment, and software or services and telecommunications and interconnect equipment, software and services. So potentially, but I haven't had enough time to give you a formal review about that. So those will be exceptions to the bid requirement.
All right, we don't have any other questions. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Board, I just want you to know that, and community, we have many great things going on in our district. So I encourage you to look beyond the shenanigans and see the great work that we are doing. Many of our teachers are working hard to that end, and definitely administration has really been working hard on behalf of our scholars. So thank you so very much. That concludes our presentation.
I'm going to report for communication from the board president. Sam, if you want to give a report on the facilities meetings that you do.
Yeah, so most of the items we talked about that were presented today, one item that we did not talk about was about electrical contract that we wanted to charge us $50,000 for temp power, and I told them that absolutely not. We're not going to pay that because you should have known that these panels that you're not going to acquire in time, you should have known that. And I told them every electrical contractor in the whole United States knows that Eaton, which is a manufacturer of these type of panels, is back 52 weeks. So I told them no, absolutely not. We could help you because of the supply chain, but we're not going to pay you $50,000. We're going to pay you $25,000. Take it or leave it. And they took it. So after that, other than that, there is no updates. I asked all these questions here today because we did not have this information at the FMP. Everybody's welcome to attend those meetings if you like, via the internet or physically at the district. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. I would like to take this time to wish our parents, students, faculty, staff, administrators, and Proviso Township community as a whole happy holidays. Can I get a may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda item as presented, as amended?
Got a poll.
I want to pull aye.
You're going to pull aye? Any other?
Yes. I'd like to pull B, D, E, F, K.
Okay. Any other?
B, sorry, B, D, E, F. Thank you.
I can't hear Ned.
Can you hear me? All right. So Dr. Henderson said we're going to table the facility master plan bids. Which item is that?
We're gonna table the entire facility.
The whole G, H, and I are getting tabled?
No, just I.
Oh, just I's in, yeah. Okay.
Just I? Any other?
Could you review which ones are pulled, just to make
Oh.
sure?
Yes, all B, D, E, F, I, K.
No, I don't.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda item minus 12B, D and David, E and Edward, F Frank, I, K.
So moved.
Wait a second, I thought you said D as well.
We did.
Yeah, D, yeah.
I thought you said B, D, E, F?
Oh, yeah.
Said
She's saying what?
B, D, E, F, I, K.
I misunderstood, just wanted for clarification.
Yes, so moved, second.
Close.
Mr. Alexander? Aye. Ms. Kelly? Ms. Medina?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Altieri, aye. Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Motion carried.
We have a motion to approve 12B in Boyd.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Discussion. We continue to have 108, our AT&T bill is insane. It's $180,000, it's not itemized, we don't know what's going on with that. It's split up, but it's crazy. The other thing is we continue to have unitemized credit cards for over $40,000. We can't approve anything over $5,000 without having itemization. I've shown you how the state requires us to report it, and we need to start reporting credit card expenses the same way that the state requires.
Let the record reflect she hasn't shown me anything. Can we?
I gave you the copies. The other thing is, I was not informed about the IASB. I see that we had expenses Dr. Henderson had for rooms. Are you staying in Chicago now when we go to conferences?
Claudia, don't play that. You know exactly that the Board of Education has a board budget. We are entitled to attend conferences. Don't sit here and play like you don't know. It's the same thing when you went to Alcoa, Texas, for the Hispanic. If you don't like what I'm saying, exit the room. Please do not disrupt. Period. It's the same like when you went to a conference. Same thing. We have already approved that we can buy conferences. Okay, we're gonna move on. Let's go to vote.
Mr. Alexander? Aye. Ms. Kelly? Ms. Medina?
Nay.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Nay.
Mr. Altieri, aye. Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Can I have a motion to approve 12D and David?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate very quickly that I'm really questioning spending this amount of money on a no-bid contract when we do not have teacher, student, or parent buy-in. Thank you.
Call the roll.
Mr. Alexander? Aye. Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Medina?
Nay.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Nay.
Mr. Altieri, aye. Mr. Wagner?
Nay.
Well, E and Edward?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Oh, here, wait a second. You went,
Discussion?
the discussion on D went a little too fast, and I guess it wasn't really. But for E, I mean.
For E or D?
Well, for D, it went too fast, that's why I voted nay on it. But I
So how
think
does-
for E, I would,
hold on
I'm sorry.
Asking the attorney.
Because I'm going to recommend that we table E until we find out whether it requires a bidder.
Okay, he voted on D too quickly, but he has a question on it.
Well, no, I'm asking a question about E. I voted
E or
on
D?
E. I'm talking about E,
Okay,
but it would have been a similar conversation.
okay. So you're
But talking about
going
E.
for D?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just recommending that we table E until we find out whether it requires a bid or not.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'm talking about E, 12E, mine site managed service agreement. Like, I know there's a motion on the table, but I would like to move that we table it until we find out whether it requires a bid or not.
Is that the one that that you were asking Vincent about, Mr. Wagner?
Yeah, and he didn't have an answer. He said there are exceptions, but he wasn't sure if it did one of the exceptions. Yeah. So I would prefer to table it.
Okay.
You need to change the
We're
motion.
going to change the motion to table
I
12.
motioned it, so.
Oh, we did.
Pleases the board, then I would rename my motion to table item D, or item 12E, until we clarify whether or not a bid is required. Motion's on the floor.
Second.
Discussion.
Call the roll.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Ms. Medina?
For table?
Yes.
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. O'Carroll, aye. Ms. Raymond?
Aye.
Motion carries.
12E is tabled. Okay, may I have a motion to approve 12F?
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Discussion.
Discussion, I just want to back up really quickly and just correct a misconception and then ask Mr. Gleason a question about this. We have had two taxation meetings before, that is correct. It is also correct when Ned pointed out, we have not asked for more than 5% because we are limited by PTEL on the 5%. We can ask for 5% as the max and future growth. Okay, so I just want to clear that up. We have had two taxation hearings before, it is considered best practices. My question for Mr. Gleason, that 1.9 we're leaving on the table by not taking an increase that we could. We lose that not just next year, but in perpetuity, correct?
There was a change to, so that what you said as far as whenever I was practicing law was absolutely true. There was a public act passed last year that would allow us to come back and recapture the money in future years that never existed before. So there is a new statute that you might be able to recapture that. There used to be like a 1-year look-back period, but now you can recapture within the loss growth as well.
We can, so there's hope for the future that we would not leave this money on the table forever and ever.
Correct.
Okay, but that's if we're granted it in the future.
Right.
And if we even pursue it in the first place.
Correct.
Thank you.
And I think you have to be in the appropriate ISDE designation in order to utilize that authority.
Which is?
I believe it's got to be recognition or review. It's got to be, so you can't be at the bottom tier, so you got to be above that.
Okay. Thank you.
Call the roll.
For 12F.
Yeah.
Rodney?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Medina?
Nay.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Nay.
Mr. O'Carroll, aye. Mr. Raymond?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Could I have a motion to table 12I?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Discussion, sorry, I had my hand up. I would suggest that if we need to have a discussion about where we're going with the facilities master plan, that we have a special meeting for it. Because at this hour, it's really hard to understand all of these things without the visuals, without actually, seeing what the progress has been and where we're going. We have not had, as a body of the board, any discussion about the master's facility plan, what our mission is, where we're going. We just keep getting these presentations and they're incredibly confusing. It would be best for us to decide in which route we're actually going.
Medina, it's actually good that you're saying that because it asks the facilities master plan, if we do a survey, because precisely because of that, to see where we're going, how we're doing, how the architects are doing, how everybody's doing.
We don't know.
We don't know, so we did, I don't know if I was to communicate that to Dr. Henderson to do a survey, and I guess with that survey, we could just include, I think we were going to include what the updates of how we've been doing for the last few years as far as the FFP. So we are working on that as well, so that's a reminder. Thank you.
We have a motion to approve.
Then I got Mr. Alexander? Aye. Ms. Kelly? Ms. Medina? To table.
Table.
Aye? Say it.
Ms. Medina, she said,
Aye.
say it.
Okay. Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Valtierrez? Aye. Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We gotta read the resolution title for this one.
Proviso Township High School District 209 resolution authorizing dismissal and notice of charges against Ms. Jennifer Labash. We have a motion to approve 12K.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
I'm going to read something that really captures how I'm feeling, and it's way better than I could have ever said it myself. It may be contended that the manner in which Ms. Labash raised these issues was inappropriate. This argument ignores two important points. First, the superintendent himself has made pejorative remarks towards public participation in school board meetings. He has referred to concerned parents on social media, and I would point out at the September 2022 board meeting in this very room, as the peanut gallery, and told them they have a white agenda and that they need to get over it. Some school board members have echoed this type of talk. Since this type of language and argument has been used by high officials of the district, it would be wrong to discharge Ms. Labash for unintentionally using ambiguous phrases that could have had an untoward impact. Discipline would be inappropriate when no action was taken against district officials for the same type of speech, because the failure to act demonstrates that the speech did not undermine the ability of the district to deliver educational services. I strongly believe that this motion to fire, the ones we saw last month, and the discipline we've seen towards teachers in the past is nothing but retaliation. They have nothing to do with what is happening in the classroom. And board, I want you to really, really think about this. I know there are some of us up here who like to say policy, 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 but unless we are applying those policies equally, they mean nothing. And we cannot enforce them when we are mad at someone or we disagree with someone. We either enforce everything across the board every time it happens, or we need to really reevaluate what we're doing here. They have not shown in any charge that's been brought before us that anything has hurt students in the classroom, that anything has damaged learning in the classroom. None of these behaviors have anything to do with anything that's happened in the classroom. And I strongly urge my fellow board members to vote no.
Last month, charges were brought forth against teachers that were fabricated, and the children were coerced, and unaccompanied while getting these confessions, so that we could take action against teachers. I believe in reading all the documentation that there is nothing here that merits in any way, shape, or form punishing a teacher who was exercising her First Amendment rights, and this teacher came out and protecting a student. And that is what teachers do. She has a moral and ethical background in her profession to protect students, and to punish her because she was courageous in ensuring that a student was protected from the verbal hostility that was being given to her by the board president is absolutely, unquestionably retaliation. I don't believe that, and I urge my fellow board members to consider, we're in a teacher shortage. This is a teacher that is beloved by the faculty, that is beloved by the students, that is beloved in the community, who has stood up for what is right, who has spoken up when there has been injustices, and because she has exercised her voice, because she has had the courage to come forward and denounce things that are going wrong in our district, she is now being retaliated against, and under no circumstance should this board take any of these recommendations. Besides the recommendation before us in closed session, there were all kinds of edits put to it. It doesn't warrant firing a teacher. I urge my fellow board members to please stand for the teachers. How many hundreds of more students need to be without an educator in the classroom? We had 732 students without a teacher just because of the four teachers, well, some of them left, but the ones that were asked to be suspended without pay for no reason, for a fabricated accusation. And now you want to terminate a teacher because she's telling us the truth about what's happening in our schools? Please, I urge you, board members, to keep the educators in the classroom, to keep our school functioning, to allow those people that advocate for our students to stay in our district.
Are there any further discussion?
You know, today when we had our public comment, I really appreciate the teacher that came up with Ms. Goel. I said it wrong, G-O-E-L. She was very respectful, very knowledgeable, she expressed herself like a fine teacher should, like a good teacher should. Sometimes our anger gets the best of us, and we do things that we regret. I was waiting for Ms. LaBash to come here and talk to us, but she never came.
She couldn't.
You know, she never came, you know, because sometimes you have to go the extra mile, or just go to the end with it and do what's right. And that's not what I want today. Based on the facts that I have, I don't hold nothing against Ms. LaBash for whatever she said. I don't even remember. I even asked for that to be taken out. But don't get confused by what I'm saying. I even asked for that to be taken out because I don't hold nothing against that. And I'll leave it at that.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Alexander? Aye. Ms. Kelly? Aye. Ms. Medina?
Nay.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Nay.
Mr. Valtierrez? Aye. Mr. Wagner? Motion carries.
I am so sorry.
Don't be. Not in the best interest of the students.
Let's go on to FOIA report.
Don't be. It's okay.
FOIA report.
There'll be nobody left. Tell your son I said hi. He didn't want me fired.
We're going to ask that there be no outbursts of disruption if she has to go, if she continues. She has to go if she
Did
continues.
not see the jacket.
How dare you?
In November
Dare you?
In November 2022, Proviso Township High School District 209 received the following FOIA requests. November 17, 2022, Nancy Holstein requested a copy of D209 copiers, lease and maintenance agreements, terms and conditions. Information will be provided. November 18, 2022, Mary Betsy requested a copy of D209 copiers, lease and maintenance agreements, terms and conditions. Information will be provided. November 18, 2022, Fred Francois requested presentation at the regular board meetings from October and November. Information will be provided. November 23, 2022, Jonathan Purse requested November itemized corporate credit card statements. Information was provided. November 30, 2022, Tanya Campbell requested bid information for Phase 2 sequence project. Information will be provided. That completes the FOIA request.
In the back, in the very back.
Old business?
Old business. I see that reading scores are lower than our math scores. So I'd like to request that we have a report from Dr. Dickey at our next board meeting.
Duly noted.
Showing results.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Wait,
Hold on,
we can do
old
business?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, are
We
we,
got new business.
Old business.
Oh, you got old business?
Yeah, old business, I requested that the noisy ductwork be repaired at, West like 2 months ago, and I just was wanted to see if I could get an update on that. It's been 2 months, so.
Yeah, so last week, Ideal Heating did come out to take a look at that, and we have ordered those vibration dampers to make sure they get installed. We'll take pictures and update you.
Thank you.
You have something, Amanda?
I have new business.
New business? Okay, Amanda, go.
I have 3 things for new business. I don't think I'm violating a student's rights by mentioning her name because she was brought up several times in public comment.
Not by us, though. Not by us.
Okay, there was a student that was mentioned in public comment who will remain nameless.
But she's identifiable at this point, so I think you need to be careful if we talk about her records. That's just my advice, to do what you gotta do, but that would be my advice.
Well, her father was here, so, and he spoke out, and I do think that this, excuse me?
You should discuss individual student matters in open
What's
session.
going on with that?
We shouldn't. A parent is free to talk about.
Okay, I understand that, but I think discipline was rendered upon a student that was way out of line.
I understand, but talking about specifically about her discipline and what it is and how it happened.
Okay, in that case, I think any student who is facing any kind of discipline, we need to be very, very careful that we are not violating Illinois Senate Bill 100 and giving 5-day out-of-school suspensions for offenses that have not gone through any kind of discipline chain. The student or any student who is disciplined, I feel, should be meeting with counselors. I also feel it's incredibly inappropriate to have the Director of Human Resources be interrogating students. I feel it's so incredibly professional. This has happened a few times now, and I want to be really careful and this is not what he's here for. He's here for the employees. He's here to manage that part of the district. We have counselors and teachers and interventionists and social workers to be here for students, and we need to be utilizing them for any discipline offenses. Secondly, again, I would like to say the retaliation attacks on teachers and students and online attacks on social media, people running for different positions. It's just so incredibly beyond the pale for me. It really turns my stomach. And I said this before in the September 2022 meeting, but I want to say it again. Dr. Henderson, you need to resign. You need to resign. This is not working. I can't think of a single good thing that's happened in the past 2 years since the restructuring. I can't. You assured us of so many things when we interviewed you, that you knew how to communicate, you knew how to work with different groups, you knew how to support teachers. We've seen none of that. We are losing teachers, we're hemorrhaging teachers, we're hemorrhaging staff. And these are good teachers, they have no problem going anywhere else and getting hired. How is this student-centered? How is this student-focused? It's not. So, you would like to cuss now?
In a way, I do agree with Amanda on the first part. When my kid I got a 12-year-old, so anytime something goes down, I do not allow anybody to talk to him unless I'm there. So if they're under 18, I suggest, so they won't get in trouble, please, call the parent or let them go to a counselor. That's just the way I feel, and I think it's appropriate. We gotta give them, we just gotta, a kid when he's asked to come into a room to talk into an adult, I don't care if it's 17, 16, he's scared. He's scared of something. I don't agree with that, so if we could find a different way to do this.
For the record, Mr. Valtorez, the parent was present.
Okay, so I'm just asking because that's, yeah, okay. So that was done, I guess that's done correctly, that's what we should do.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I could, I just would like to agree with Amanda. I think that, in the sense that having human resources involved in the investigation of the student, I don't think that's appropriate.
Let me just say, for any student, when we're dealing with students, I think we have to be extremely careful if we don't know all all of the facts. I'm not going to call student names. I am aware of what took place. Technically, this could have been worse than what actually took place for a particular student. There are certain activities you cannot, on school ground, participate in. I'm going to leave that there. I attended a conference recently, and one of the things that was talked about most in that conference, how schools across the nation, people say, I'm here for the students, I love the students, and nobody talks about the student. It's usually adult shenanigans. Adults. But everybody loves the students. Everybody, they really doing, no one is talking about students. Some of the behavior that I have observed, that I know for a fact, that teachers actually push kids out of their front door. They exhibited some of those behaviors in these last few months. They put a kid out. I stopped by here at Proviso East yesterday and Proviso West, and we just kind of talked with students just to see what their concerns, what their complaints, what their issues were. I am strictly for student and teachers. But when students tell me that my teacher's bogus because he or she did A, B, and C, and then I see teachers come here and do some of those same behaviors that students talked about in the cafeteria, that they would actually be put out of class for. Many people have stopped by in these last few months, and we've changed our meetings around to try to accommodate. I, too, was like the others that sat on the other side. There was a time that it was just me for years. Nobody had a concern, in my opinion, that spoke at every board meeting. You know that, Ms. Kelly. Let me be very clear. I've said it once. I will say it again. I have no political aspirations whatsoever. So for those of you that say, we'll vote you out, that's your prerogative, you have that right. But just as many people that make comments about voting me out or voting us out, I don't have to participate in special interest groups. I work for everybody, not for a small group of people. Now, I don't want you to be hoodwinked and bamboozled. It is election time, people. And you're going to see a whole lot of stuff. But come April 5th, you'll be able to hear a pin drop on the street. Because it'll all be over. Everybody can run. Everybody just can't win. You got those that feel that if they're on this side of the table, I can do it better than you. Try it. But the people have to speak. It saddens my heart that people sit out
the most is we haven't honored a kid and I don't know when. Not one kid has come before us to be honored. What has come before us is, I don't even do Facebook. This is on Facebook and that's on Instagram and that. Who cares? And then we put kids out of school about social media. But we sit right here as adults and send stuff out. Closed session. Legally, it shouldn't be, but they do. Everybody's entitled to do what he or she pleases. There is nothing or no one that'll ever stop me from working for kids. I've been doing it for a long time. I will continue to do it. I've been a parent-student advocate forever. So when I hear someone say, you owe my child an apology. See, for me as an African-American woman, when you toss me peanuts, it takes me back in history. Here's the monkey in the cage. I don't care how somebody else may look at it. You see, I tried to make light of it because she was a student. Don't toss me. It's like tossing me a banana. That was one of the biggest insults one could get. But everybody didn't get peanuts. 3 African Americans got peanuts. Take it however you want. I love you with everything I got in me. But if you vote for me, thank you. If you don't vote for me, thank you. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing probably since I was 10 and was playing school in my basement as a child. I will not be pushed over. I will not be walked over. I think I've been extremely kind in the disrespect that I've gotten. I will say this, I've come a long ways. Thank you. Good night. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, you got something to come? New business.
I would like to request a new sound system and live stream equipment for East and Proviso West. That's clear and with acoustics. Because, I mean, you can't understand what's going on here when the people are at the mic. It's very, very hard, very difficult. And we could have a better system here and at Proviso West also. And I would like to take this time to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Call the roll.
Mr. Alexander. Mr. Alexander. Kelly.
Aye.
Tina. Ms. Patterson.
Aye.
Ms. Grant.
Aye.
Mr. Terry. Aye. Mr. Weiner.